Oh, snap. Well, this wasn't planned, by the way, and I am waiting for a few guests. Thank you for joining me, if I have eyes on me yet, or for the replay squad. Very, very important. I see you guys. There was just some stuff that we didn't either discuss or discuss enough of. If you just saw Tech for Your Needs stream, it was a good one. So definitely recommend that one. Let's see if I can go ahead and get this over here. And then figure out, let me test this out. Yo, yo, yo. Perfect. So the pre-show to the pre-show. Man, it's gonna be a lot of streams tomorrow. I'm gonna try to catch what I can catch, and I will have my own. I would need to push that out. I just scheduled it right before hopping on here. So let me give me just a moment here. I know if you're watching in the future, in the past, I haven't scheduled this yet, or rather tweeted it out, excuse me. So I will do that right now. Let's see. This one, and then this one, and oh, here we go. And tweet. Live now. Oh man, if you could see, I can't show you guys this. Okay. Well, George, hey, welcome in, man. This is impromptu. This wasn't on the schedule. I sent the link out to a few. So I just finished one, as I was telling the replay squad. I just finished one with Tech for Your Needs, and it got a little heated. It's good. It's worth watching again. I am expecting James Apple and Shark FinTech if they're still gonna hop in. They have the link. If you'd like, you can have one too, George. Always a pleasure. So there were a few things that we talked about that we didn't either. I think we didn't. Like I was saying, we didn't get to it, or we didn't get to enough of it. Still plenty of questions. Still plenty of hype. There's still there's a lot that could happen tomorrow. There's a lot that probably won't happen, but if we're going to be disappointed, let us be disappointed after the fact. We're not disappointed yet. So just a few. I don't know exactly how long. Like I said, this wasn't planned. Maybe half hour. I think James said maybe about half hour that he could spare, and then maybe hopefully if we can keep it to an hour. I know we're terrible with that, but my main thing, if you guys have been watching for a while, or Clubhouse, Twitter, what have you, I am expecting I'm expecting to not have to wait too much longer for the next iteration of Apple Silicon. So the M1X, whatever they call it. And I got my first guest in here. Yo, 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 Shark Fan.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, you know what? I totally forgot I had thrown some stuff in the laundry, and I had to. If I don't, dry it, it's gonna get a certain way. It's gonna get damp. Hopefully not damp in our expectations for tomorrow. I was just letting George Mobile Geezer know in the chat where he said, "I thought we were doing this tomorrow before the event." I am. That's still going on. That's a separate thing. This one, man, that last stream, huh?
Yeah, that was something. That was one for the ages. Fantastic.
That's a good one. We had some gadget guy pop in. He got baited by the Michael Pepper Tech. He got peppered, I guess you can say, for
that good one. Yeah, we need the rim shot, but I'm Tish.
Yeah, well, that's his own signature thing there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't really know they had been in talks, in prior,
It didn't seem like that. He just got
no. They fooled me. That's for sure.
So for you, it was. So for you, that you were looking at it from a different angle through different eyes then.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great debate either way, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I think Michael has great points, but I think everything Juan said was true, and I don't care how big
definitely.
of an Apple fan you are, and you especially being an audio guy, a DJ, right? Why not demand better quality from Apple when it comes to that? If we're not even at CD quality, that you're paying all these money for these devices, and both the phones or the tablets and the AirPods, and if you're not getting the quality you're paying for, then there's a disconnect there, right? So
Yeah, I think that well, the main thing was that, and the cat's going crazy. The main thing was that Apple through its own offerings now, specifically AirPods, AirPods Pro and AirPods Max, that they don't quite, at least not out of the box, support the formats that you can now get
right.
free with existing subscriptions to Apple Music, which are
Hmm.
lossless and high res lossless. And so that's, I mean, especially for the, for lack of a better term, Apple tax that you're
Yeah,
paying
yeah,
for these, for the brand. I was gonna say logo, but the pros and I guess none of the AirPods have the Apple logo on them. So
right.
even for that, that it's a bit of a shame, at least now, because how many people are you can toggle it on and then you're thinking that you're listening to it when you might not be, and especially that you're paying these prices for it, and you're like, well, I have the subscription. I went in settings, I turned it on.
Yeah,
I'm thinking this whole time that I'm getting this additional feature, this more more data in this lossless and high res that maybe you're not getting, because I think even sometimes when I'm connected through Bluetooth, the iPhone says, yeah, it's lossless, and then it's like, well, how if it's Bluetooth, and we know Bluetooth doesn't
right,
support it. Shout
right,
out to Michael
exactly.
Pepper
Yeah.
Tech. We were just talking about you in here, man. Your ears burning? It's open for you. I know you had to get going on the last stream, but you can have a link if you'd want it. Yeah. So I mean, it's that cycle of, because of how trapped we are, right? At least I'll
Yeah,
speak for myself that I am, but and willingly, sure, but um, in the Apple ecosystem, to where they give and they take away and then they create a problem and the solution, and so where are we going to go from here, really? What's next?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. No, I think, and you could say that about all these companies that probably should up their game when it comes to audio, right? I mean, it's just, you know,
Well,
like you
because
said,
who cares
it's
about it
yeah,
like we do?
the money you're putting out for these devices. I mean, look at the Z Fold 3. I mean, you know, any of these things, it's they demand more and more of us, and what are we getting back, right? In terms of money, and what are we getting back from them? It's and a lot, and like I think that was part of the debate, was that a lot of people don't know the difference, right? I said, well, it sounds pretty good. I don't know,
Yeah,
whether you're streaming or you're doing it directly through direct physical storage or whatever. And a lot of people would probably just assume they're getting good, say, well, it sounds okay, but and like I like what Juan says, like people say, well, I'm not an audiophile, but you
yeah,
don't have to
but
be an audiophile to want CD quality audio.
I mean, yeah, you figured CDs. Remember those? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
CDs were in CD quality, if you could believe that. You
I
know?
was just gonna say, the history,
Yeah,
that vinyl, right? Vinyl has a
yeah.
lack of the compression with CDs is there, and that's when CD. I remember when CDs started becoming popular when I was in college, and people were like, "Oh, it's not as good as it's never going to be as good as vinyl," and they're right to a degree. So,
As soon as I get the thumbs up from MPT himself, we got him in about
ah,
go, and boom,
and there he is.
he is.
Hey, man,
Man, nice job earlier, man. Definitely entertaining, one for the ages. Wow, I didn't expect that
absolutely.
from a Tech for Your Needs stream. I'll say that.
Oh, Juan and I literally had a 2-hour live stream when I was doing my creator interviews. Whoop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your audio is a
I
little
was
low.
about to
I was
say,
like, what the
wait,
heck is going on? There we go.
is it me? Go
So
ahead.
Juan and I had about a 2.5-hour live stream where I had him on my channel when I was doing my creator interview thing, and we butt heads, but not in a way that like we disagree with each other necessarily, but in a way like I like to do this thing where I intentionally ask questions even if I don't agree with the side I'm asking from, just because there's a perspective that needs to be seen that a lot of people don't. Like, people don't understand that Apple's perspective on things might be like the questions I pose, because there is a
Yeah.
reality to that, and there's an
Right.
okayness to that, but okay, there's the idea that it's okay for Apple to approach it from that perspective, but it's also okay for us to want more than that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, for as long as I can remember, Apple's way has always been their way or the highway. Yeah,
Yeah. Pretty
And
much.
I also wonder if they have an issue with the
Is that right?
legality and like the fine line of like if they are like creating the problem of, well, they're not really creating the problem of lossless.
No.
Like, not really, but like that existed long before with like MP3 players and stuff with lower quality, you know. But
Yeah.
if they're creating a service that offers a solution that offers a higher quality, but then they don't have the headphones for it.
Right.
My question is, if you expect Apple to offer the solution for everything, is there a legal aspect in which they do become too much of a monopoly then, because they're offering all the solutions for all the, you know, where, for
No.
example, there are so many
Because
different
you don't have to go with Apple.
hardware manufacturers on the Android side that, like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Where if
figure
you own an
that's
iPhone
right.
and you want the solution, you got to go with what Apple allows. And since they have a
Exactly.
Lightning
That's-
port, then companies have to license it. So then there's the,
Right.
and that's one thing I wanted to get to is like, if you make the argument, well, Apple doesn't need to make the solution like Anchor or some other company could, except for the problem is then they have to pay the licensing fee to Apple to license to use the Lightning port.
Mhm.
And so then you argue, well, it's more cost effective for Apple to do it because they don't have to pay their own licensing. So
Well, of course, but they're always
can
gonna
approach
wanna
it
do
from
that,
both
Michael,
sides.
'cause they're all about the profit, so they're always going to want to do that, right?
so
That thing of the walled garden, right? Think of it like the amusement park, Apple
Right.
amusement park, or
Yep.
Apple walled garden. When you're in there, hey, guess what? It's all Apple, right? It's all Apple, unless they say otherwise, which would be third parties that they still have on the app on their available for purchase, not from them or made by them, but they're like, hey, these are okay by us, right? So
the
that whole
MFI
thing of,
program, yeah.
and of course I joke, and I mean, here's another one too, where the only good thing that Android is good for is for keeping away the monopolistic lawsuits, right? Because
Yeah.
Apple isn't the only operating software iOS developer or device manufacturer or what have you. So
Right.
yeah,
But part of one's point is you can get a Pixel or a Samsung. In fact, that doesn't even have to be. It can be a mid-range or whatever, and get a great set of Sony, cans or Bluetooth buds, and you can get it. You even using Apple Music, get a better experience, right? Audio experience for less money. So it's a great debate and fair. It's all good and interesting,
I mean, I can go into, if I can get it to load up. Of course, it's acting stupid right now, but I can go into Apple Music on my Fold, right? And I can go in and I can play lossless audio and plug in. I have a USB-C high quality DAC dongle that I got from Periodic Audio and plug in my $400 IEMs from them or my $100 ones,
right?
and get.
Well, those are still additional charges, right? That's not out of the box, right? You're buying all this extra
I mean,
stuff
but
to
it's
get
not out of the box when you get it from Apple either. Like, you would still be
Right.
paying
I
for
know.
some
Yeah,
sort
but
of
that's the thing,
solution.
like, for those of us who are going to go above that and beyond what the average person will do, because who doesn't love plug and play, right? To get that, there's still
Right.
costs associated with that, and even if you're like, it's only X amount of dollars, it's only this amount of dollars, the time, the effort, the energy, the knowledge, the digging around that you need to do, or I mean, if you guys have heard of these things called friends, if you don't have them, then they're not going to tell you, right? Hey, by the way, did you know that you go get this cable, or
I've
go do
got
this, then go into
friends-
settings, and then do this and that, and then you can get lossless or whatever it is, whatever the hidden buried features. Even sometimes the company will have it, but they're like, hey, by the way, and this, and you're like, what was that? Hold on, wait, what? What'd you say?
That's
Like,
the
I mean,
other
why
thing
wouldn't
too.
they-
Like,
Yeah,
the lossless isn't even on by default. Like, you have to go in and turn it on, and then you have to select like which version do you want. Do you want like the CD quality, or do you want the 96-bit quality, you know, which option do you want, and then it's a different setting for if it's over cellular versus Wi-Fi, of course.
Right.
And then do you want that on for when you download or just stream, or do you want both? And so it's like that's the approach of. So like my argument was, or my not really argument, but my point of view was the people that are gonna know enough to differentiate between what they're gonna get just by default with any, you know, music streaming service, Apple included for the most part, and lossless, are gonna be the same ones that are gonna go dig for it, and they're probably gonna go to another company anyways. Like,
Yeah.
I did. I went with Sonos because that's
There you
Sonos.
go.
because I mean,
what I had,
or they already had them. Like people
Sure, sure.
already have them. Like they
Well,
got their
right.
Sony
Yeah.
WXM3s or XM4s, or they went
Right.
and they
Well, and
got
the
they
soundbar
went to
had
like Planar, or they went to other companies like
Yeah.
and I think the real bummer with Apple is price point. So people look at those $550 headphones and go, well, they can't play the. But if you look at like the quality of the materials they used are right in line with other headphones at that same price
There we
point and options that they don't offer either. So it's like one of those weird like.
Right.
But
And also welcome James Apple to the chat.
Hey.
Luckily he showed
Hey.
up. I promised the replay crew that he was gonna be here. So
I'm just glad that
Just Dave made you.
that, you know, he specifies that the JA stands for James Apple and not something else in his
I
name.
bet
So
that was Ja.
I mean,
did.
you
I thought it
know,
was just the first two letters of James.
no, I mean that too. That too. There's kind of like it's kind of a double entendre of a double entendre. Like, I guess the best thing
Quadruple
is
entendre, like Inception
Yeah.
and an entendre
Right.
within
I was-
an entendre.
I was
Yeah,
insinuating that it might stand for something synonymous with a burro.
oh Jesus.
There we go.
But no, like
comment-
Jamaica, the Jamaica, the
Oh, that
initials
too,
of
that
Jamaica's are
There
JA
you
too.
So
Like,
So two things. One, Professor Nez himself. If you guys don't know another awesome just person, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that he also creates content. Probably, right? You can throw a pebble and hit a content creator these days, right, guys? So
Right.
one of the definitely
Well,
majority
pebbles aren't super
shareholder-
popular anymore since Apple Watches and other things
Defi-
took over. But you know,
Definitely a majority shareholder in this. I wouldn't have otherwise rebranded and stepped into the spotlight, front of a camera. You know, from the not just to get into the chats and to get to know a bunch of you guys whom I consider friends, but to take it that next step further and accept the invites to be on guest streams. It took just shy of a dozen streams, if not about a dozen streams, before I actually was pressured by another channel friend, I Cave Dave, to, hey man, you know, make a quick just a couple minute something, put it on your thing when you're on my IKversary 1 year celebration 6-hour live stream that also James was a part of with me. He said that we'll put your thing up, and when they click on you, it won't be empty, and you know, you go from there. I've put a few videos up, streams up, and this is where we are now. And
I was
thank
bummed
you to
out.
Professor Nez for the insight and the support. So definitely wanted to point that out, and you guys as well. Except for when you covered the camera during my heartfelt speech there, Sharkfin. Don't do that again. All right,
I was
guys.
bummed out when I didn't
Okay.
get to hop on with Dave for his anniversary because I was gonna
You know-
join him, but it happened to be the weekend that I
Oh,
had a
okay.
bunch of stuff going on, so I wasn't able to.
oh,
hop
you
on
got
with him
caught
and
up.
stuff.
You could have just sent him like a video like Max did.
Yeah, that's-
I thought about it
that's
because
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
way
Max
back
did
when
that.
he was first, when iCave Dave was first getting his like studio space set up and stuff, I got this random message and I'm like, he must know that I'm like into lighting and photography and all that, because he was sending me questions. He's like, where should I place my camera? Here's photos of my setup, and like, here's like my shelf next to me. How do I? And I was like, here's a simple solution: take a 2x4, put it on the shelf, put a book on the other end, set your camera on it.
wow,
Make a
he was
shelf that
giving
sticks
you-
out. I was like, make it work, because you can't build something in the middle of your desk that blocks half your monitor. And he couldn't put something behind because his other monitor was up. It was funny though.
Are we all on the West Coast? I for sure was, and I think early on the last stream, all you guys were all East Coast. I forgot to say that when I when he added me to the stream, I was gonna say, let's get some West Coast up in here when I joined.
Before I forget,
You guys all
whatever
alright?
whatever Professor Nez does, whatever puts out his information, is that a Nez dispenser?
Oh no.
No, 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 no.
You
I
think
mean, the
Pez,
thing
huh?
about I think
Like a
I
Pez
think
dispenser?
Don't explain the jokes. No.
no, it's all. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, but
Come on.
Nez is Professor Nez is cool.
Sorry
Professor
about
Nez is
that,
cool.
Nez. Sorry, Nezzy. I don't know with these guys. I'm not responsible for them. Okay, this is the internet, so
Right.
Oh my God.
you guys all share some blame on the panel, in the chat, the lurkers, and the replay squad, and YouTube. Yeah. Wait, so are we
I
all? I
mean-
forget. I know New Jersey, right? Sharkfin.
Yes.
Pepper. If you want the state or region, I forgot where you're from.
Central, well,
Midwest.
somewhat Michigan.
He's like, what?
I was gonna say Central Michigan, but it's actually kind of off center.
And you guys can cuss on here, like I said
And
a moment ago.
An
It's the
unknown,
internet.
undisclosed location in Michigan.
He said, fuck. He's like, Michigan. He gave up. You see that? That was good. I'm sorry. I'm replaying that. I was like, what? And then, of course, James Apple. Where is your internet service provider sending us from?
It's South Florida in an undisclosed location that
A
shall
brick and
remain
mortar.
nameless.
Brick and steel bunker underneath with
No,
Apple
no, no.
logos everywhere.
Hey, I'm around a bunch of Apple products. The ecosystem works for me, man.
Right.
Yeah. I guess did he ask you these questions during the living on iPad days or like when he was iCave Dave?
Did I ask him questions?
I was gonna ask that to Mike.
I don't think I. Oh.
He asked me. Oh, it was probably
Oh.
when he was when he had first switched over
Let me-
to he was getting all of his like multiple displays set up in his cave area.
Oh, I see. I think because
So maybe a year or so ago.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
right
no,
when he
'cause-
was just first started with his stuff. with
Yeah,
that.
because he went from living on iPad to just that.
Yeah, because
Like,
I
it
didn't.
was like
I didn't know of him until I who's this random person DMing me asking me these questions? They must know somehow. And how he knew, because it's not something I exactly, I do talk about it, but not like in
not like that,
abundance or whatever.
So I mean, before we got bombarded by Lewis's stream and everything,
Yeah. No,
um,
shenanigans.
yeah, all that the one shenanigans. But because because we were like getting to a good point, and it's like he just like just came in and just like he was just like bum rushed it. It's like got us all in our like things and wonked up. But I think that I think we're just gonna get 2 events by the end of the year. I really think so.
Oh, that's right.
Like-
We're talking about the Apple event tomorrow.
The Apple event.
Almost forgot.
Yeah.
Actually, I just got off the phone with Tim Cook and he's canceled it. Just kidding.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Stop
he's
it.
like, we're
Well,
just gonna...
iPhone is too much of a moneymaker for them to cancel.
They wouldn't need to do an event and they would still sell like crazy. That's the thing. Like, do you really feel like
I could
Wait,
agree. I could agree
people-
with that. I could agree
Have
with
they ever
that.
done a press
But-
release for an iPhone?
SE, the SE,
What
iPhone
about-
SE
What about,
last year.
What about earlier than
I
that?
think one of the I want to say wasn't the 6, didn't they do that with the 6S too, because it wasn't that much of a change. It was mainly the same body with a slight bump.
The iPhone SE last year, April 15th, when people got
Definitely,
their
yeah.
stimulus checks. When people got their stimmies, their first stimmies in,
Oh, the purple
Yo.
iPhone, of course,
Well,
didn't have its,
we don't want Apple to disappear. We don't want them to struggle during this pandemic.
yeah, they even
poor
put it.
baby.
I think. I mean, they even put it like a purple. They put it a new color iPhone in the. That was the one off-putting thing in that event.
What's crazy to
purple
me
iPhone.
is if you think
Yeah.
about it, like if you were to look at the number of iPhones Apple sells in a year, if you were to include just Apple and Samsung, Apple's selling like 1 out of every 8 phones. In comparison, they sell about 1/7 of the number of devices that
of new
Samsung
phone
does.
sales?
Of like annually, it's about 200 million, and Samsung's up there about 1.3 to 1.4 billion.
Right.
But Apple's revenue, like, just blows them up because they don't sell phones at like literally every like $20 price point or whatever.
Well, their
So-
profit margin's higher. That's right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And the problem is, you got R&D costs for, like, there are costs for that are in there. Like, if they're selling a phone or giving away phones, right? Those like those $100 phones, that still costs them. So that they got to take that away from their higher selling phones, and then their A line sells the most.
Yep.
And that's
You were talking about Samsung, right?
and that eats into their cost. I feel they have too many A line devices. Actually,
Mm.
if they wanted to have a
Well-
higher profit, they should
Would get
they could
rid
have
of the
gone with
A-line.
they could have gone with a different method.
Well,
They
they're
could
not
do
gonna do
like a
that.
trickle down thing where essentially like the S22 series comes out, so they sell the S21 series at a. The problem is nobody would buy the S22 if they did that. They would just keep buying
Right.
the S21 stuff because there's a difference there in. No, they don't need
Yeah,
to.
there's.
As
Yeah.
long as they have a new device that's at a higher price point, if they just drop the old line down by a few $100s, there'll be people that buy that just for the price point. Selling a device at that price point just means they're at least selling a device at that price point versus like a $500 price point.
Right.
So.
Well, what's
You,
been
you should
happening?
go. Hey, wait, hold on, Mark. You should go. We should go to this damn question right here. Serious question. Will it have the M1 chip? The M1 chip. Like
Which of the many
really-
Professor Nez questions do you mean, James Apple?
This one. This
There
one.
are
This
so
one. He's like
many.
saying, "Will the iPhone
Essentially-
13 have the M1 chip?"
You know what?
Essen-
I mean,
essentially,
the
it will
thing-
have a
Oh.
M1 half chip. It's essentially will have a half of an M1 chip. That's what the A line
I-
really is.
I-
It's always half
Isn't it
core.
just-
isn't
I
it gonna be
just-
on par, right, with it?
It's always
like-
basically half the number of cores and then slightly clocked down. So, I mean, but it's based off from the same architecture. It's just instead of like a 3.29 or 3.3 gigahertz 8 core, it'll be well, now they've bumped it up. It'll be a hexacore.
Well, are you referencing
On
that
the GPU, and it'll
the
be a quad
processing
core
chip
CPU.
that shall not be named?
And so
The
That's-
heaters.
it's essentially like a portion of an M1 chip. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, you'll have half the compute cores and 3/4 of the graphics cores, and I'm not sure though. The
Yeah. Professor
um,
Nerds.
the
There you
swap memory though, if
Right.
they'll support the swap memory like they do with iPads, considering you're gonna have, from what we've seen, there'll be 4 gig for the lower price point iPhones, and then 6 gigs for like the Pro and the Pro Max as far as memory.
Right.
So
And also the thing about it is that, like, you know, it's like, I think like everybody's so stirred up because of M1 and the performance it gets. Like, everybody's anticipating, like, can it be on the iPhone? Like, you know, like, can it be on the iPhone? Can it be on this? Can it be on that? It's just like it's like the whole world went M1 crazy all of a sudden.
and heat
Right.
dissipation just isn't there. You don't have enough surface area in an iPhone to dissipate the
Right,
heat that would
exactly.
be required. So essentially, they'd be throttling it down. So they'd be putting a more expensive part in there and then throttling it down. It wouldn't make any sense for them to do that when they can just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So James,
Yeah,
as
'cause-
far as what Sam was saying with Samsung, they if anything, and Michael would I think would agree, they've been, the A line has been so good the last couple of years. It's actually cannibalizing a little bit the
Of the
S series sales.
S21,
The
S21, the
A-
fold,
Yeah,
the fold, the flip. It's
What is
and the
happening?
thing.
Well, the fold and the flip are really.
What are you guys
specialty
talking about?
niche
Apple
devices,
event
right? But-
tomorrow. Hello.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
We're
saying,
so
just
close.
to clarify. But
The
that's why
A50.
that's why they're never going to kill the A series, because they just sell so well. They're priced right, and if anything, they're hurting the Galaxy a little bit. So yeah, but maybe they're making them too good. That's part of the problem, right? So
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, because like Apple just makes it like Apple just put the bare bones in every single phone, like the
Right, right,
SE, the XR,
right.
the 11, and then the 12 series, and then probably by tomorrow when the 13s come out, they'll just kind of be synonymous with like a lot of the other stuff. Like I think this be like, and I think the XR is going this year.
Oh,
I
it is.
think
Yeah,
the
yeah.
well,
XR is
what,
going,
The
how about we
12,
talk
the
about
and
12 is
what's
gonna
coming?
yeah.
How about we talk about
but
what's coming?
I think that the XR is getting discontinued. That is
Right,
for sure.
right,
I
right, right.
think
Sure.
the XR is getting
I mean, I
discontinued,
wasn't gonna buy one
Hmm.
and
anyway.
then the 11 is going to drop down to the price of the XR, which will be a better bang for your buck.
And the
In
12 is gonna
all,
replace the 11 at that price. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know which one. I think it's either the mini or the regular 12.
I think the regular 12. Yeah. No one wants
Yeah,
the
I
mini
would,
because of that. That battery's too small. Yeah.
and unless you have a $100 MagSafe battery pack, it's not even worth
they
your
won't do
while.
the mini at that. They'll do the regular because they want to keep that price. They want to do that price point at it because here's the
Right.
thing. The difference between the manufacturing cost between the mini and the regular is not that much,
Right.
but they I don't think if they couldn't sell enough of the mini at the other at its original price point, dropping $100 off from it or whatever is not going to be
The incentive.
the incentive, and they're going to keep one in the lineup, you know,
So
from
the
it
12,
to run
because
through.
I think what the mini kind of entails about like I guess their forecast for next year is that they're probably going to release like a 14 plus, and then we'll just get a 14 Pro and then a 14 Pro Max. That
Right.
kind of will be the lineup for like the 14, because it's like the mini, even though it's doing well than most Android OEMs, but in Apple standard, it's not all that great, and
I
and
still
it's just
think they need
because
to just. I still think they need to go with an iPhone Air. They need to call. They need to have like an Air as the base
That would be
model, and that's
interesting.
what they
Yeah.
would do. And then they would have like a regular iPhone, and then you'd have the Pro and the Pro Max because that would solidify their lineup name. And
Right.
um, because like the SE is always like older hardware, older external
Yeah.
look with new
but
internal specs, and
Right.
then
yeah, with the
the
car in the
mini is
hood.
too hard to sell
Right.
because it's like the battery life isn't really any better than the SE.
And
It
it's
had
too
the
small.
newer
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
but for a little bit more, you got the regular 12, and you got much better battery life, a bigger screen, and like so much more tech in there. And since they had sold the SE, I think everybody that wanted the cheaper iPhone had already probably bought that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now
Cannibalized.
they
Yeah,
could just call it
yeah,
the SE. They could just instead of the Air in an iPhone line, call it the SE and have that be the base of the. But I still think Air works better with
Yeah. Well, the
the
SE
continued
Plus,
lineup.
the room, Michael, the rumored SE Plus, I think would replace the 10R, right? I mean, we don't know if it's going to happen for sure yet next spring, but that would be
yeah.
that could be that could be an interesting device. That would sort of be an Air
That
in a
would
sense. But,
Yeah, but that would just cannibalize the mini sales too. Like if there was like a max
no,
model.
Apple's
no.
okay
No.
Well,
cannibalizing as long as they're the ones doing it. They've said so.
I
exactly.
mean, that's not a problem, but I think like I mean, granted that we already seeing that from the
Yeah.
SE to the mini. We're already seeing that
Right,
because
right,
it's
To me,
like
most of the most
for
of the
the
non-M
SE.
ones are getting cannibalized by the M1. I mean, now
right.
you're getting what a lot of these computers, at least what. So what popped in my head a long while, when these were first coming out, is this was Apple's vision the entire time. These machines are what we were supposed to be able to do and achieve and accomplish with Macs way back when.
But Mark Gurman Mark Gurman, I remember he said this on the Waveform podcast. Like this was like in the development since I think the
Long-
iPad Pro had the A12X chip.
No, it was a long time. It wasn't just Hey,
Yeah,
No, this has
2018
been
was
in development since longer ago than that because essentially Intel was supposed to develop the chip for them instead of
the second that
TSMC
Intel started
Yep.
messing
way
up,
back
which
in the
special thanks
day.
to Intel, right? Because
And
otherwise this wouldn't be happening.
if we looked at what Steve Jobs was working back uh, on in like the 80s when he was at Next, and then when came back in 96, 97 to Apple there in that phase changeover. And then when they had the tablet that was essentially what the iPad is today, and a lot of the same software features like the pen features and like the quick notes and all that stuff existed back then.
You're talking about the
And when
Newton, the Newton.
yeah,
That was
and
so
when
far
the
ahead of its time.
and when the
Absolutely.
new or when the first iPhone came out, the whole thing was this is running a mobile version of basically Mac OS. They wanted the hardware from the iPhone essentially to be in everything. It's just
Right.
they couldn't develop it themselves because of the expense, and then the Intel was too far behind, and then AMD for some reason Apple had a weird thing with them, which is weird because then later on, they're the only company that you could get dedicated graphics from because Nvidia they killed off the.
Right.
So that was a mess, and now we have the AMD's like ruling everything. So it'll be
Let's
interesting
get
to
to
see.
this question here that's been up for a while because you guys obviously haven't seen it. Professor Nez, you guys think I should get the iMac with the M1?
It depends. Do you
The answer
already
Yeah, what are you
have?
gonna
I
use it
mean,
for?
do you already
Yeah.
have
The long
peripherals?
answer
Because
is
if
it
you
depends.
do,
The short
if
answer
you
is
already
yes, of
have
course. Why not?
peripherals, then I would suggest saving money and getting a Mac Mini or something. If you don't and you care about having a 5K display, or you just want like a single device that you can basically pick up and move, and you have
I
the
think
peripherals, it can't
I
be beat.
think I think for him, I think for his use case, I would say yes because he can just streamline everything from that said. He can streamline his whole life because Professor Nez basically just live streams a lot. And
Whatever you do, don't buy the base model, though. I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
I
I'm
would
just
say.
saying,
Right.
whatever you do, don't
like
buy the
yeah,
because they're
you got to pony up. You have to pony up the money for
Well,
the better one.
we're so close. I mean, that was the next topic, right? I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the last stream, Tech for Your Needs stream, where James and I are both very highly anticipating, and basically, correct me if I'm wrong, James, already bought this thing. I know I already did. Bought
But
and
there's
paid for the next level of the M1, the Apple
oh, the
Silicon,
Mac. Yeah.
M1X,
Well,
whatever they call it. So
Right.
actually, if I could revise, hopefully Professor Ness hasn't already ordered an M1 and bought. Sorry about that. Get your money back because the M1X or the next iteration of it, whatever they call it, that's the one that you really want. So even
I mean,
even not configuring them with whatever like whatever the base is, even with just the raw performance that we're expecting, hoping, fingers crossed, that the chip will provide. Mwah.
but I think for him because he doesn't just Final Cut Pro things into like just like shoot a video, Final Cut Pro it, put B-roll over it, this, that, and the third. I don't think he does too much complicated stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
basically his all of his YouTube stuff is like basically just stream.
but super
It's stream,
future
stream,
proofing.
stream,
Yeah, and
stream.
then if you
Yeah,
want to have
and it's
multiple
like
guests or have graphics and everything else, you're already set. You have the groundwork. And so thanks for
yeah,
stopping by, Professor Ness. Shout out to all the dads.
no,
Daddy duty
so
calls. That takes
yeah.
priority.
Yeah, no, but the thing about it is like, if he can listen to this like on the replay probably
Yeah, sure.
is that is that is that like he has a whole streamlined kind of YouTube setup. So like
Yeah.
for him, he wouldn't even need like an external mic, he wouldn't need this, he wouldn't need that. He could basically run his whole thing off of the M1 iMac and be good with it.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
has a 1080p webcam. It has the best webcam in a Mac, period. It has the best webcam in a Mac, period.
Does it? I didn't
Out
know
of
that.
any-
I think, well, was it because of the ISP? Image signal processing upgraded, right? The camera itself was
no. It's
the whole
1080p.
thing?
It ain't 720p.
Okay.
Right.
It's 1080p of goodness.
Wait, that's what
Not
that's
like
what they have now, or that's what we're expecting?
no,
Which-
that's
The current,
that's
the
what
current.
the M1.
The one
That's what
right
the
now,
M1
right
X.
now. Oh, okay.
The currently right now, that's the best camera in the M1 Mac. That's
Yeah.
the best
Oh,
camera
and not
in
in
the
the
M1.
MacBooks.
No, they're
That's
720.
still 720, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
think
they're
they
still
have
720,
it's
but they
still the
have
best
some.
version because of the ISP, which is why that stuck in my head.
Yeah,
Right?
but the thing about
They
it is
tweaked
they do their image witchcraft with that
Right.
webcam. They do
Yeah,
their image
Apple's
witchcraft.
able to do a lot with that. I mean, even like with the photos, right? The selfie cam, even with the so their computational photography, computational video. I don't know if they use the same thing, and the computational audio, all that stuff. They're able to do exactly what you said. Yeah, basically witchcraft. I mean, I didn't go to math school, so I don't, that.
Right.
Just let me know how to use it, right? Rather than how it works. And to answer
Right.
Primping Ain't Easy TV's question, what camera am I using? I am streaming from the 2020 12.9-inch iPad Pro on the Magic Keyboard. So that is about
Oh
arm's
wow,
length away from me.
you're just streaming it that with via the mic and via the Shure mic and the headphones.
Yeah, the Shure SM7B. Shout out to them on their podcasting arm to the Rodecaster Pro, and then that into, unfortunately, a dongle because I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Then there it is. Yeah, right into the iPad.
Dongle
Right
life.
I have
That's
the
right.
Yeah.
I have
I
the
could be
focus
running.
turned on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could be running my whole setup through my iPad too.
Yeah,
But-
that's what I'm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
that's the
Hopefully I
thing
look
where it's
okay.
like, yeah, you look better than me. Trust me.
Oh
Because
man,
I'm still
Fine.
because I'm still on 720p MacBook
Are you on-
camera level.
Okay. I was gonna-
What's the resolution of the iPad? I don't even know, and I've been using it for even for like my like I mentioned before.
It's-
I wanted to step up my gear because it was about a year.
Well, I think
For the
it's
display?
not so. I think it's not so better cameras than the. I think it's one of those things where it's like it's not so much better cameras than the iPhone. It's kind of like the iPad Pro probably gets
I
the.
know it can
the
shoot in 4K 60, but that's the rear facing, not the. I don't know what the front one is because I'm just using it as. I mean, so you guys can see
you
me,
have
but also so I
the-
can see you because the
you have which
iPad is
one?
my monitor. 2020
Yes.
12.9-inch
Oh, I thought you had the
Front
M1
iPad
for
Pro,
whatever
yeah.
reason.
front facing iPad Pro camera. Yeah.
I thought you had
The-
the M1
That's
for
very
whatever
good.
reason.
So that's a 12 megapixel, I do believe, because then they dropped it to 11 megapixel on the M1 models because of
Wow.
the center stage thing.
Oh, right.
So it's actually technically got like a 13 megapixel sensor, and then they slightly crop in on it to get so you have the edge
The center
pixels more
stage
away,
part
and then
of
they
it.
center
Yeah.
stage drops in even further on that. To the 2 megapixel
It does
image.
look good though. Yeah.
When I test drove the M1 for sure, the M1 iPad Pro, that wow, what a piece of hardware, man. It's on my list again still. Just like I think I had mentioned already on the stream that luckily it shipped. Luckily it was delayed. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to have returned it because timing. So just bad time, like a semi-emergency happened with the extended family, so that I was able to take care of that luckily. But because the Magic Keyboard, which I ordered in white, because how can you not? It's gorgeous. I'm stuck with that one, so I'm able to switch MacBook.
So wait,
Magic Keyboard cases. Well, because that one was in stock. So when I placed my order, they're like, "Here's the Magic Keyboard," and then a month something later, when the M1 iPad finally shipped and got to me, I'm out of the return policy for the keyboard, so I have, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I guess happily stuck with it. It's nice. The only bad thing about it is when you use it outdoors, that glare is serious because then I see that pure white of the keys, boom, right up into whatever is on the screen. So
I
have to
mean,
remember
are you selling?
with the black.
So we even sell like one Magic Keyboard over the other,
Am I selling
or
one?
we just like keep? Or yeah, would you even sell it?
If I were to sell, I think I would sell the white one because I like using the black one outdoors, like I just mentioned. There's no glare.
What's crazy is
If I'm in the market,
deal with the 11-inch Magic Keyboard one, You can find that all over the place, including at Best Buy for
Right. Oh, yeah.
$199 now, which is
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
funny because like
Oh, open box.
it
Is
didn't
it open
change.
box?
Literally, the new one's not any different from the 11-inch than it was for the
Right.
old one because the
Well,
11-inch iPad didn't change. It's only the 12.9 that did.
right. Well, you know
So
what they
the
may have?
11-inch
does,
Magic
bec-
Keyboard is $150 cheaper than the 12.9-inch,
I know for the
or
12.9,
more
what they
expensive than the 12.9-inch
I
one.
think the magnets are bigger. Like
Mhm.
it's like, you know, it accommodates the, what is it, 1 millimeter thickness or whatever, so it's
Yeah.
flush. I didn't notice it on any. I mean, when I put, you know, because I have the old one, so I put it on, like, it's like a more snug fit. But other than that, I know that because probably because it's heavier, the magnets are larger. I don't know if they put more magnets, but the magnets that are there are larger, so it does grab it a little tougher, a little stronger than last year's. So
It
that's
was
one
just
thing
funny
that's
to me
different.
because I was
I
like
don't think I don't know if they did it.
12.9-inch
Yeah,
black,
for the 11.
$199,
Yeah.
$100 less than the one for the 11-inch because it's the old model, which still works with the new ones technically. It's just like you said. Oh, and the new ones for the 12.9-inch are the keyboard slightly heavier because of the iPad being slightly heavier to counterweight it, I
Right.
guess.
Right.
But like, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to push over your iPad? Like, forcefully push it over because you'd have to be like banging on that pretty hard to actually counter that. And so, and I know that there's some slight differences. Like if you're using a case on it, the spacing, you can't use certain. You have to use like cutout cases and stuff because
Yeah.
of where the hinge positioning is and all that stuff. But yeah,
Right.
It's minor though.
Yeah.
I like my
And it's like,
Logitech Combo Touch keyboard case though.
you know
Mm.
what? I like the Logic, but it's like sometimes it wants to connect to it, and then sometimes it just does not. And granted, I'm using the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, so it's like when this iPad came around, it was like the only. It was the only. It was the like the. There was no real, like, there was no Magic Keyboard to this. So it's like I'm stuck using the old thing. So it's like, you know, if I were to sell it to somebody, um,
Did they,
if the iPad, if the new iPad comes in 10.5 inches, I could probably sell it to them. Like, I'm like, hey, it works with it works with the new iPad. Just
did
pitch
they
to it
make
like them.
Yeah.
the keyboard folio for that at all? I can't remember.
What I
Which
think
one?
they did.
Because if Apple made the keyboard folio for it, then I guess you could just do that and use like a mouse or like another like
Yeah.
Bluetooth
Yeah,
trackpad
front
with
facing
it
camera
as
for
a
me.
option too. But
I mean,
Yeah.
I was using the Magic Mouse. I was using the Magic Mouse with the iPad. With
Yeah.
I believe, and the keyboard of my choice is a Bluetooth. What's the Bridge? I had the Bridge
Yep.
keyboard.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
I
I
have
I
a
had the Bridge
Moth has
keyboard.
one too.
It-
That's the Bluetooth one. It folds. Actually, I have it right here.
I want the new Oh yeah,
Oh
that's a.
wow.
I want the new
Okay.
Oh
Bridge
nice.
one, but it's kind of pricey. It's like the Bridge Plus.
Not sponsored.
oh, that $300 one. I know what you're
It's
talking.
got
Isn't it like
the
two
well,
or
it
300?
it's got it so it's protected
No, it's
more like an
250. It's
actual. It's
250.
protected more like an actual case,
Hmm.
where like the other Bridge just had that magnetic like back panel that goes on it. So this treats it more like almost like more like a laptop would, where the case is kind of connected to the keyboard part, and then it snaps in there nice, and it
Let me see how
covers the
much.
edges more and protects it. So if you were to drop the whole thing, you're not gonna ruin your iPad because it's just got the
Right.
back covered.
Yeah, I don't recommend
Right.
dropping. I don't recommend dropping any tech.
No.
I mean, you might get hurt because even the 11. That's the crazy thing. The 11-inch iPad Pro weighs more than my 13-inch MacBook when I have my keyboard case on it.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Right, yeah.
and my keyboard case is lighter than the Apple one or the Bridge one.
It happens.
Yeah. But Bluetooth, right? So James, I'm using on my what is it, 5th gen
but it
base
is fine,
iPad.
though. Does your guys' Bluetooth accessories sometimes don't quite do what
It's
you want?
pretty
or
good
don't-
overall. I mean,
Okay.
it's a 6-year-old. It was meant for the iPad, the original iPad Air, right? It
Yeah.
happened to be the same dimensions as
Oh.
the 5th gen, and even the 2017 iPad base, right? and it works perfectly together. So they're both getting a little long in the tooth, but it fantastic little combination. I didn't have to pay a penny for a new keyboard. That's one of the reasons I got that particular model when I got it, because hey, why not? I didn't. The pros I think were either were not at the time, or they were. I just didn't feel the need for it back then, so I just went with that and just used the same, just multi-purpose, the same exact Bluetooth keyboard, and they're both still going relatively strong. Here we are, 4, 5, 6 years later, right?
Yeah, but the thing about it is like I looked at the Bridge keyboard, the one that Michael was talking about. Yeah, it's like 250. It's like $100 less than the 12.9 Magic keyboard. But I think usually people would just pick up the. I think people would usually pick up the Magic keyboard, then rely on a third party, then rely on something of a third party nature.
Well, what's the advantage of the
I mean,
Bridge? Is it foldable? Is it foldable like Mark's, or is it a different type?
It's
I
more
wish I could. I
laptop
wish I could.
style instead of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm looking at it right now as we speak. Yeah, it looks like a MacBook. Like it makes it look like a MacBook. Like, like it's curved and everything, it's symmetrical and everything. You just prop it in, you prop it out.
Does it have a trackpad?
Yep.
Does it have a trackpad?
Trackpad?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh no.
Trackpad. Oh. Yeah,
The new one
it
does.
makes
The
it
Bridge
look.
Plus does. Yeah.
Yeah, the Brit Plus looks official. Like, and then it's like, and then you can like even put your Apple Pencil at the bottom too,
Right.
Do you
or
think
something
Apple
like that.
will their own like more versions of Bluetooth accessories for maybe not obviously not tomorrow, but for Mac stuff?
Nah, their thing is the smart connector. That's why the Logitech uses. That's what the Logitech. That's what the Logitech uses to
like the next version of the Magic Mouse or the trackpad or all their other stuff. Because I know they discontinued colors of some stuff, right? Didn't all the Space Gray accessories?
They discontinued the Space Gray accessories. Funny enough, Zach from 9 to 5 Mac, like he was like selling. He was like, "Yo, I'm selling my Magic Mouse and Space Gray Magic keyboard." I was like, "Yo, let me just get." He was like, DM me. I was like, "All right, bet." Yo, he's like $200 for the. Was it like he was like saying $200 for the yeah, $200 for both the Magic Mouse, the Space Gray Magic Mouse, and the keyboard. I was like, because I'm trying to get this whole. Yep, that's the Bridge. The Bridge Plus.
Bridge
really
Max
nice.
Plus, and it's so instead of having like the previous ones, what I didn't like is it was these clips on the corner, which were really weird and easy to bend. And then it was just this piece that just slapped against the back of the iPad magnetically. Now, I guess the downside with either one is really if you take this out, you're gonna want to have like another case with you if you're taking it off from it to slap it in. But with this, in theory, you should still be able to have a skin on it, I think they said, and like a screen protector. And I would probably just carry a cheap gel case. Just you take it out, slide it in, while you're holding it, in case it were to slide out your hands while you're holding it, and then you slide it back in this. But and then the only thing I don't know, or I do know with this one, as well, is none of them allow you to flip it around all the way, which would be kind of nice. Like a 360 hinge would be kind of nice in a way, just because then you wouldn't have to take it out, but it folds back pretty far, and I just like the idea of like it's pretty convenient, and you have all the angles, and if you're using it on your lap, you can use it like an actual laptop, so you don't have
Aren't laptops not supposed to be used on your lap? Because maybe not as much fanless ones, but even still, I don't imagine that your body heat going to and from, you know what I mean, that the heat that it already is trying to dissipate. So ideally you would want it on
I guess two of my laptops with their vents on the bottom I wouldn't use on my lap unless I plan on burning my legs, but like my M1 MacBook Air.
Well, I mean, it's
funny enough.
it's still trying to get rid of heat. that it's
I'm-
generating, even
Right,
being
they all are.
worse so because it's fanless.
With
But-
my
and, one of the stands that I have here that I got because I got two of them for my 2012 over here Intel, lap heater thing. One of them I can't use on my lap because it's just two legs on the end, but the other one it comes with like a bottom plate, so that one I could put somewhere even like on a bed or pillow or on my, and then it has a separate piece that tilts like that, so it still has like a bottom to it rather than like 2 feet that. Because that'll just sink into the comforter and you're still blocking the airflow, right? The vents, but the other one you can use for that. But it's still, I mean,
and
eventually I'm like, you know what? No, I don't like. Oh, it's not. Let me
so
throw my
here's
bag out. Might
something-
as well sit down.
Here's something interesting that that Apple does with their MacBooks that I didn't realize until I saw a video where somebody took apart the M1 MacBook Air and they put thermal pads on it to transfer more of the heat would transfer to the bottom.
Right.
Apple has theirs, so they're all regulated, so they can't get over, I think it's like 43 degrees Celsius or whatever, because that's like the temperature at which
What's that in American?
that's the temperature at which you start getting or no, it's got to be higher than, yeah. So 43 1.9, so it's 76 about 110 degrees.
As long as this circles back to tomorrow's
So-
event, I'm fine with this topic.
Because at about 120 degrees to 140, you start getting issues where you get burnt. So you
How
can
could that
use it
be an
as an
issue?
actual laptop and not worry about it since it's all passive cooling. So it'd be interesting to see, like, how are they going to continue to do that with these new, more powerful models? Like, where do they dissipate more of the heat upwards, I guess? Because it does dissipate through the keyboard, but even that can't get that warm by regulation.
Right. And you can't do
Yeah,
water
and,
cooling on you can't do water cooling on a laptop, right?
Not until they have an IP.
Well,
yeah,
I've seen it
yeah,
done.
and
I've seen where
Not if you want to
somebody
use your device after.
where somebody ran water cooling pad to the bottom of it out through
Wow.
in like a cooler and did all this.
yeah,
they said
because they got rid of the fans because of a reason. They got rid of the fans because they wanted to make it feel like it's on air. Hence the name MacBook Air. Boom.
Just
you should trust him. He has Apple in his name.
but it's not air cooled. It's passively cooled.
Right.
The MacBook
Exactly.
Pro is cooled with air with
Well, it's
fans.
Isn't it
Right.
radiates, right? It just there's
Yeah.
the heat sink.
So
Right.
That's about as
what I
nerdy
have
as
seen
know.
somebody do is I have seen somebody where they got those ice packs, like the blue ice packs, like people use for like their broken knee or whatever.
I did that for
And
this
they
guy
would put
right
it
there.
on the bottom of their MacBook because the
I literally
aluminum
did that
will.
for this.
Really?
Yeah,
With
when I
me,
didn't
I'm
have
more
ice packs, I
likely
would
to
grab
pick
whatever
up-
was in the fridge, a bag of peas or something.
Was that that was your old
That's what I would set that on yeah.
Wow.
I would need like either a plastic or a paper towel or
Right.
tape, a table mat
Right.
to put that on top and then put this on top of that so I could use it comfortably and keep it because I don't know how I don't know if they were ever intended to get as hot as they get. These things,
Mhm.
I mean, even still now, this thing I have it on like I said, one of the stands that has a fan in it, but
Right.
that's pretty hot, man. I don't have it. That's what I need to get a touchless thermometer gun, the laser.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a 2012 MacBook Pro.
Yeah. Yep. Mid 2012, 15-inch MacBook
Yeah.
Pro.
Oh
base
yeah, those
model.
get pretty warm.
Yeah, because
Yeah, man.
yeah, because me and Mark, we kind of been saying this on Clubhouse and even Twitter Spaces that it's like one of the things that we're most anticipating on are the Macs.
I mean, wouldn't
And I don't
that blow
even-
your mind? That'll blow your mind if they at least announce it tomorrow.
I don't think they will, but it would be cool. Yeah.
No, you know what? I think that
You wouldn't
think
like that, James?
There's a difference between what I like and what Apple, the $2 trillion is going to do.
We're not here to defend Apple. Here, we're like, give us our shit, right? That's what this is. Even the what to expect before we expect stuff stream.
I would.
What would you love to happen
but
tomorrow? How about that? Answer that question first. What would you absolutely love to occur tomorrow?
To tell you the truth,
Tell me.
The Google Pixel 6
Apple Watch
Pro
Apple-
gets announced.
the
Wouldn't that
thing
be
about
funny
it
if
is that
Google
it's
did
like-
that? Trolled Apple. They're like announce it at like 11 o'clock in the morning, right before.
Oh, the
like,
Pixel, that would be great.
Right.
Yeah.
What does remove from
Yeah,
stream?
but the thing
do?
about
I
the
touched
thing
that on
about
this.
it is that the thing about it is that like as much as I would like the M1X MacBook to come out. What the hell?
What?
Oh, I was like saying, I thought we were on mute or something.
Did I do something?
No, you're good.
Yeah. Oh,
I was trying,
yeah.
I'm trying
No.
to back a
The
lot.
thing about it is
I was yelling at my
the thing
son,
about it is,
so I muted myself.
yeah. Oh, I was like, because I heard that something in the background. I thought I was
So
muted, but
what do you want,
yeah,
James? What was your answer? Did you answer the question? What do you want to happen tomorrow?
thus, I mean, I just, based upon the information that, like, because I just base my things off of
No
what the information
Just
is.
you, James. What does James Apple want? What would you love to happen to see? To
Right.
hear?
What's
Whether
your wish
you
list?
I
expect
would
it or
love
not.
it. I would like the MacBook, but that's not going to happen. And
Okay.
there's
You
a
would
lot
want it
of
to be
people that
announced and then available for pre-order, Friday or whatever the
I
hell.
think their Mac news is going to be about the M1 iMac. I think that's what they're going to announce. Like, oh, you can get
The
all the
M1 iMac
colors of
That's
the
already out.
the M1 iMac that's already out. That's kind of the news that they kind of mention. I think that will be it. That will be it. Like the M1
They're gonna
iMac,
announce
like
an iMac that's already out.
no,
They already
Yes.
announced that it's
What?
that all the colors are available in stores. They did it right on their
Yeah.
page and in a press release.
Yeah, so I'm confused here. For
Wait,
the
they
Apple
already did
event
it?
tomorrow, you
I
think they're
think
going
it's
to
their
announce
Apple
I think it's their
newsroom
product.
release.
that is already out? Are you guys following?
AirPods
Sharkfin, Michael,
are
help me out here.
So
AirPods.
I am
AirPods
looking
are a
forward
press release.
to the M1X or M2 Mac Mini, so that the M1 Mac Minis will drop in price, so I can go buy one for like $400 from somebody, because that's
Okay.
Yeah.
pretty good chance of that happening. Because in all honesty, I would like to have a desktop version where I can just have it setting here for live streaming. My laptop's kind of gets in the way.
Yep.
Yep.
Not
Nope.
having to unplug
Nope.
in, plug in my MacBook Air, just having it sit there. Fans basically never run on it, and just have it there
Yeah.
and be
So
good to
another
go.
non-answer. Sharkfin?
No,
So,
it's
M1,
What was the question?
oh,
Well,
it was like saying
I still don't understand James's answer. For the Apple event, you want them to announce the M1 iMac in colors that's already out that you can already buy today.
no, I was like saying that like I would like a M1X MacBook to come out, but
Right.
I know
Okay.
it's not going to happen. Like, it's like
Sure,
fantasy
I'm
versus
following.
reality.
I'm following.
Fantasy versus reality.
So what's the
I
reality?
could fantasize.
Well, that's what this stream
It's
is
not
for.
gonna
We're
come.
supposed to get our hopes
Yeah.
up so Apple can crush them tomorrow.
Oh
Right.
no.
Guys?
I get
Yes.
it's
Yes or no?
like
They haven't
I
crushed.
could,
That's the beauty of right here, right now. They haven't crushed us yet.
Right.
man, granted, like I think some people would just say that, like for people who are just anticipating getting the
What
iPhone
they want.
13, getting the iPhone 13, and
Right.
then John Prosser comes in last week with the iPhone 14 info.
I know, but
Right.
Just to
we're looking forward. We're looking forward,
just
not backward. Forward, and not too
I
far
mean
ahead. Not 1 year from now,
that's too
John
damn
Prosser
far.
with your
That's like
iPhone 14. That's too far.
I'm
Damn
like, man,
And,
that thing
you
looks
guys
sexy.
watching, you can reach out to John Prosser and let him know that I'm calling him out to stop getting my hopes up for next year. So damn high, so
Right.
damn early.
I am also
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing like what new stuff they're gonna do with the camera this year. Because like last
Okay.
year,
Mhm.
they
For
did
the
some
you
stuff like
know what?
Yeah.
like the iPhone 11 series. You got like night mode, and then last year they did, and then they also did
Pro Raw,
The
Pro
HDR.
Raw, and
Pro
Dolby
Raw,
Atmos.
and HDR video. But then there was also
Dolby Atmos,
what's
I think
the
Dolby Vision
mid
recording,
the mid light
Right. That's it.
what was it called? Deep Fusion
dark mode.
Oh.
Right. Right.
was in there, and
I thought Deep Fusion was on the 11, but it just came out of update, and then nobody cared about it afterwards.
that's what I was
Sure.
talking about, James. Between the 11 and the 12, what we've gotten
Right.
in the last couple of years. So we gotta see what they're gonna bring new, apart from
Mhm.
maybe hopefully improved battery life, like,
Right.
and
What's the mode that they
a
mentioned?
larger device
they're
and larger
saying-
They've got to make it bigger.
sensors.
Yeah.
They're saying
larger sensors.
astrophotography.
I
Is that
think-
enough for you guys? You guys take a lot of sky pictures.
I think 1
I don't
terabyte,
know.
1 terabyte storage. The 1 terabyte storage, that's what I'm anticipating. If
a
1 TB
configuration
comes to the
as a,
iPhone,
as a feature.
1 TB iPhone comes around, I will forget about the MacBook until October. I
Yeah,
promise.
because
Okay.
you're gonna
Fair
pay
enough.
like
Until when
$500
it's gonna
more than
come,
you'd
maybe,
pay for
hopefully.
a MacBook to get an
Right.
iPhone.
Right.
Hey,
So
Apple
everything, it all
tax.
goes up. It all
Oh
goes up one
no!
tier, right? So you go to 128 as the base, and you'll have 1 TB as
Someone
the
help.
ceiling, right? But it's all, yeah. And they say the price
And
is like
only
It's
on
like-
the and only on
I think-
certain models too.
The
So
Pros,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
of them will have 128 starting out, but then it'll be like 128, 256, and
Right.
then like
512
128,
on the
256, and 512 on
on
like
the Pros.
on the regular, and then up to 1 TB on the Pro Max.
Right.
Pros.
Yeah. So as the features, it's more storage. iPhone 13 now with more
And I
storage,
think, and
exactly the same as the iPhone 12,
and I think
maybe with a new color.
and the
Smaller notch.
and I think that
Boring.
ProRes video,
Yeah.
ProRes video.
Mhm.
There's that.
Is that wait?
Like-
So right now the 12, even the 12 Pro Max, which is their best offering, that cannot support ProRes. Does it have the hardware in it?
No.
So
It's
there's
pretty
hardware
No, that
and software that's required.
yeah, I think it's that, and it's
Okay,
like
so that, and then a
ProRes
smaller
is
notch,
some
shorter
ProRes
cassette.
is basically what makes some people's videos look very dazzling on
right.
like our favorite YouTube channel, our favorite YouTube creators. That's what they use. Telosa Tech, ProRes, Renee Ritchie, ProRes.
Mhm.
They all use the ProRes Kodak. It's Apple's Kodak that professional
Yeah.
photographers, videographers,
But you need to use a
cinematographers use.
third-party
Well, then
standalone.
there's third parties like Filmic that can do the same thing too, right?
You need to
So-
use a standalone like Sony or Canon or something like that, or how do you get that exactly?
Yeah, I think
That's
I
weird.
think
That's
that-
weird. You got
let
to
me
use
see.
a non.
Let me double.
That's strange.
I mean, it's a ProRes Kodak that's like used for professional like work. So, yeah, like ProRes. Let's see,
And-
ProRes cameras. I'm
that's
just
still-
looking it up right now.
Yeah, and so that still brings me back around to the same question. Are we really not expecting that much this year?
No.
I'm
That's
expecting
the whole
new
point.
color. I'm excited. I'm genuinely curious to see not just what color they pick, but how Apple achieves that color. Their vision, their
Yeah,
version
no.
of
Right.
this is the color that we saw, and this is hopefully you guys when we all look at it, with the exception to colorblind and blind folks. I
Okay,
guess.
so what
But-
would be your
Yeah.
dream color?
Hold on a second.
Product red stainless. Product red stainless.
Stainless. Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I know. But I have it in my head.
Hold on.
But
Okay.
I would love to see what Apple has in their head
Right.
for that,
Because
if
they've
they
never
do it,
done
and
it.
then
They never
doing it.
Yeah, they never done a pro model with the product red, right? Yeah.
And then even
Yeah.
I mean I know here, like I said, they haven't crushed our dreams yet. So if they were
The
to
bronze
do
color.
not just that's
pink.
okay. I'm sure it's gonna look cool. But I'm
The-
saying one thing that they've never done, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that I'm wrong. Aside from the Air MacBooks, the Pros or the standards, whatever, have never gotten a gold finish. So a MacBook Pro
Yeah,
in gold,
that's true.
I think, would be legit. Same
Yeah.
as a product red MacBook Pro, I think would be just as awesome.
Oh, so and speaking
Cool.
of
In
our
any-
ProRes,
in any material.
Hold
Any
on,
material.
hold on a second. So talking about our ProRes kind of conversation for a bit,
Yeah.
since it relates to the iPhone, there's a
Right.
lot of cameras that like use ProRes. Like there's Zcam, there's Nikon, Sony, of course, Canon, I think Fuji as well too. Sigma FP.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that use like the ProRes Kodak.
But those are
Like-
Do they
standalone
use
cameras,
4K,
so
but do
that
they
would
use,
be huge. Yeah.
Is it on a phone, and do they use, and
Huh?
are you talking about 4K 60 ProRes, like
Whoa.
Right.
crazy
Why you in the
HDR,
No.
all that?
That's messing with this.
I was like,
I'm still You did it
put
again.
us
One more
back,
time.
man.
One more
Put
time,
us
man.
back.
Hopefully Trent caught that. I'll send it to Trent.
Oh jeez.
Trent. That was good.
So,
I,
you know,
I got to practice with this for tomorrow.
what I'm looking
Nice.
forward to is I'm curious to see if Apple's gonna drop like a nighttime video, like a video, since they went night photo and they've done HDR, and you now have mid range with deep fusion. They've covered all that. Now they need to expand video beyond daytime. So a
Right.
nighttime video, like a combined pixel for almost being able to do like long exposure video. But also they are showing that some of the sensors on, at least on the Pro Max, are going to be bigger. The optics on the outside. I don't know if
Right.
the physical sensors are. So what I'm curious to see
I
is if
think-
they're going to have more than one of the sensors have the physical like in-body stabilization, the sensor shift technology. If they're going to move that to the other sensors on the Pro Max as well to make it
And
the
also-
more pro device.
And also, like, I guess finally 120 hertz is coming to like the.
Oh, I forgot about
I could
Full-level
care less
iPhones.
about that, in my opinion.
like I said, just
You know
colors,
what? I could agree. I
The
could
only thing
agree
that's got
with
me
you to a
excited.
certain degree.
Because
I could
animations
agree with you.
affect it completely, because there are so many people that use 120 hertz on an Android device and don't even change their animations. So they're using 120 hertz, but they might as well be using 60 hertz because the animations aren't sped up. They're still at one.
They're
at,
still
like,
at the
it's
stack.
refreshing.
They still.
It's refreshing 2 times in the same frame is what's happening, right?
yeah,
yeah.
essentially they're at like one half the animation, or one x, or instead of a half or zero animation.
You know what?
People don't
I
turn that
think
off.
I think even the extra battery life that all these iPhones will have, including the mini, like I think what they're like a certain percent up better than they were before. I think the Pro level and the regular 12 have kind of increased their battery percentage by 17%. The max is I think 20, and I think the mini is like I think 10% or something. I forget the numbers at the top of my head. Like I forget the numbers, but like if I want to see what the hours are like for the 13. And if it's
Right.
kind of because I think like people who already have the 12 or like an 11, I think they've already decided on which phone they're gonna upgrade, because like I think Apple is just making it hard for people to upgrade every year after year after year. And I think that's one of the reasons why they got into services heavy. I think that's one of the reasons why they got into service heavy.
Well,
Think we're gonna get new
Because-
services tomorrow? Oh my
'cause
god!
they got into services because it's something they can make money off of instead of letting
Well,
other
yeah,
companies
I
do
mean,
it.
it's a
And they can
No, it's because-
optimize
and
it,
then-
and
and
they
then-
can charge more for storage because, it doesn't your music doesn't, you're streaming and you're downloading stuff and you're storing it and it's higher bit rate, because there'll be the people that will turn it on and then forget that aspect of it. And even apart from that, just the lower bitrate stuff that people will just be like, oh, I have access to all this music for super cheap per month, and I'm just gonna go in and download everything I want and store gigs of it. And
Right.
you'll be able to do it
Yeah.
now with twice as much memory if the 1 terabyte thing happens tomorrow.
that's just
Yeah,
ridiculous.
because
in
the
my
thing-
opinion. Who
but-
needs one
You
terabyte
know
on
what?
a phone?
Right.
You know what?
Crazy.
No, you know what? I'll just say this.
You're gonna be
How
screwed
Apple
when you lose
pivots-
all that data. By the way, just see.
Mhm.
So, Mike, I'm just gonna kind of just go over like why it does make sense, like why a pro level iPhone does make sense, and I think it goes
it's just,
into Apple's marketing, because
I
Apple is
take
marketing
a ton of
because-
photos and videos and
I-
never touched anywhere near a 512 gig.
I get
so
how
1
having that much
terabyte's
storage is
ridiculous.
useful for when you need
James.
that much storage. I don't see how it's like,
But
the iPhone
I was
13
gonna no, the thing about it
Bad
is
market.
why it's actually no. Here's why, because I think it pivots to like filmmakers, professional filmmakers that like do films with their iPhones. And
That's a very
There are-
very
there-
small universe. You know that, right?
but it's
A
still
million
like it's still
megabytes of data. Think about that. A million megabytes of data
No, some
for
people will
you
use
know
it.
a
what?
terabyte.
It's
Like
yeah.
that is a lot of
But
photos and videos. That's
but
like
let me get to my
400,000 photos.
Crazy amount. Yeah.
let me just get to my point is that
Okay.
like they've pivot since the iPhone 11 since they called that phone Pro, they've gotten into the hands of professionals,
Yeah.
real McCoy professionals that like do like filmmaking and everything like that, who
But
do
no
music
professional
videos.
would be stupid enough to store that much data on a single device. They're going to back up and transfer after every shoot.
Right.
I mean, that's
Like,
why they
if
have
you
an
don't,
iPhone for.
you're not smart.
That's
Nope, even
why.
that, because it's degraded quality and potential for risk of data loss when it's uploading to the cloud. Best way is
But
physical hardware backup, and that's the problem with everything like ditching a port or going wireless with everything. You need to be able to connect, and that's also the problem with Lightning being so slow. Can you imagine trying to back up
Right.
a terabyte worth of stuff from a shoot to
Yeah.
to your MacBook, and you can't even do it at anything faster than USB 2 speeds? Like,
Yep.
it's
See how it causes more problems.
and we had phones that added 8K to them,
Yeah.
and we're offering 256 at the top end
Oh,
storage.
do you think?
Right.
Because
Do you think
people
they're going to
are
go higher than what's the highest right now on Apple? 4K 60. What's the
Yeah.
next?
yeah,
What's the next
I
that's
think
the
4K
highest, but
Are
I
they
don't
gonna
think they're
raise
gonna
that
do
tomorrow?
it.
You think
There's
they're
no
gonna raise
need
it?
for it.
No, well, I mean, there's
Nobody
you
can
really don't
watch
think
it.
they're gonna go to 8K? Yeah,
I
that's
don't.
it's kind of like the thing. It's
Not
like
tomorrow.
And the
It's a
yeah,
flex,
stabilization,
because
but I
it's
don't
you
think.
could
I don't
do
think so.
8K like 24, but then Apple's not going to want to do that. They're going to
Right.
want to drop in and be like, we've got 8K 30 or 8K 60 or some ridiculous. And
Yeah.
and since they've added HDR and all this, they're not going to want to offer higher resolution, but then you lose like your HDR and you lose your options in there. It's the same reason
Right.
why
Right.
why they're hesitating to increase the sensor size from 12 megapixel sensors on all the sensors and add in, because they want all the sensors to be unified, so you get the same
Right.
you get like the same color representation and stuff. And so that's why we aren't seeing them up to 50 megapixels or 48 megapixels and use pixel binning and stuff yet. They're kind of doing the opposite. They just take multiple of small, and then you get a huge amount of data by stacking it, and you get reduced noise, and you get color information from each. And there's some channel stuff in there that people don't. I can go complex in there. You have
Yeah. Yeah.
red, green, and blue channels.
Yeah.
And all the pixels
But-
in there, and there's some background stuff that
We-
they're doing that Apple kind of talks about. But that's why there's 9
the
images that are stacked,
computational?
because it's
Computational?
actually highlights, shadows, and mid tones.
Yeah.
But then they've actually separated those into like sub, and they just show it as like a gradient of black and white. But I'm pretty sure
Right.
they're actually separating. What they're doing is they're separating channels in there, so
Right.
it's more complex than that. And
Right. Well, if
and
you
the
look
Pro
at like
RAW
what's-
thing is more like somebody was saying in the stream earlier. Somebody said something about like Pro
Careful.
RAW is for people that are going to edit, only for people that are editing their photos. I highly disagree. Because there's a different, because just using it for point and shoot, you actually, I've noticed the HDR quality of it is better than if you have Pro RAW off, because
Right.
there's more information there for it to compute and to make that HDR image from to begin with.
Right.
And then if you're gonna print that photo, you want that information. You don't want
Right. Well,
and the fact that it's
Samsung's
automatic
quality
is awesome.
Yeah, Samsung's tried the 8K one, as you know, on the S line, and they're just not. It's just not quite there, right? I mean, it's not horrible. It's just not. And like you say, you can't see it in 8K anywhere. So what's the point?
It's pretty bad comparative.
Right.
Like I was shocked by OnePlus's, which is kind of ironic because
you guys are
OnePlus isn't known
expecting,
for the. But I compared to my Note 20
Samsung
Ultra.
to come out with 8K at the Apple event.
They already have it.
I'm expecting Apple to more likely use they would be more likely to use a sensor that's capable of recording in 8K, but then
Right.
they're going to
Aren't the sensors getting bigger?
subpixel it, and
We're
so
expecting the sensors to get bigger, right? This
Yes.
tomorrow.
I would
But
rather
how
just
much
have a
bigger?
larger sensor. Same
Yeah.
same megapixel, same resolution, but larger
Right,
sensor for
right.
better light performance and faster
And the thing
capture.
James was talking
That'll-
about, the high
that'll boost
res.
contrast.
Yeah, that would be a good. Yeah.
And the fact that you don't have the issues that we have with other devices when you go to take a photo and everybody has to be perfectly, absolutely still, which is impossible to get my 3-year-old to do, or he's like half blurred, even in perfect lighting.
Well, duct tape.
So iPhones and Pixels don't have that problem where every other company has that. So Apple's not going to introduce something that's going to change that experience. So if they can just make the pixels bigger so you get better low light performance, they don't need to increase resolution. Not really.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
if you think about those pixels, and you think about like we're gonna get into like DPI versus PPI because you're talking about prints.
Yeah.
You can do a pretty decent sized print with that. I mean, I have prints downstairs that I took with my Nikon D5000, which was a 12.1 megapixel sensor. Yeah, it's a DSLR, but it was still a smaller sensor compared to like full frame. And I have big prints. Of course, I used interpolation, which is like combining pixels and stuff. But anyways, you can do it.
Right.
So we don't need.
You mean a
more
composite
pixels.
image?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But to go back to your
don't
expectation,
need-
I mean, you're serious that you meant that you're hoping for new stuff just to get existing stuff at a discount, or could
No,
you still
I
give
want
to
to
me?
see new.
Could you still? Okay, so okay, what would you consider ordering if it were to debut tomorrow? I guess that is a better. That's what I was hoping
So for me,
to get from you. Yeah.
part of the aspect is battery life, but for me as somebody who's a photographer, I'm always going with like the Pro Max, like
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
the
best.
top end
Okay.
of
Features,
what I
right.
can of what they
But
have to
I
offer
think-
for the most
So
part.
you already bought it, basically. So the best.
But it all depends because my 12 Pro Max has battery issues, so I'm gonna see if I can go into Apple and be like, "Hey, can I just trade this and just pay can I just pay
Wow.
the difference
well,
and
they're,
get?"
they're going to give you today's price, no? Or I guess tomorrow's. Doesn't it
Or-
drop?
So
I could look and be like, "Hey, are you gonna replace?" They should replace the battery for free because it's under the year. It's only like
Right.
6 months old.
Right.
Less
Yeah,
than
they
6
should.
months old. About
They should.
5.5
What's your
months
battery?
old.
What's your battery health at, Michael?
91%.
That's
And
yeah,
dropping?
Jesus.
Yeah. Okay.
And my wife says at her 12 minis at 88%. So we're gonna get her 12 mini replaced, and then we're talking about selling it because it would practically be a new device, and then her getting like a
Yeah.
13 because she doesn't need a Pro or Pro Max, but she does need better battery life.
Don't get
She's
another
like-
mini. Don't get another mini.
So-
whatever you
Not
do.
getting her another. I mean, she does
No,
fine
no,
with it because it sits in her locker at her work most of the time, and then
Right.
she just plugs it in on her way home if it's too low because of bad cell signal and stuff. But that becomes a concern. So
What about
here's
a
what I tell people:
MagSafe, a
like
signal
if you
booster?
can get by with a mini, and you're like, well, I'll just plug it in and charge it. The problem is you're just adding more charge cycles. So essentially your phone's not going to last as long. So you're better
Exactly.
off
If you're
spending like the
keeping it that
$100 more.
Yeah.
And then you would have fewer charge cycles out of it and it would last long.
Right.
But not even for if you're keeping it that long for resale value. You
Mhm.
put 500 charge
Yeah.
cycles on that thing in 6 months because you're charging 3-4
Yeah.
times a day. Your resale value is going to tank because you can't,
Is that
Yeah,
what is that,
you-
James? That's a
yeah,
MagSafe.
Yeah, the battery pack. Actually,
Was that soap?
When you need,
Right.
Hold on, let me see.
When
Oh, it's
that
not
Apple
working. I'm
soap?
holding it up to James's face on my screen and it's not
Well,
charging
how
my
do I-
phone.
All right, now try it. Now try it.
Oh, it's too big.
get
That's
that.
what she said.
Yeah. Here we
Yep.
go. Ready?
Ah.
You get it? Is it working? Did you get? Because it's cheap, right? Did I say it right? Qi charging.
Just put
Yeah.
the two. Let's
No?
put the two of them together.
If you
So
were
as far-
if
so-
you were in Bangkok, it would be Tai Chi charging.
Oh no, this guy.
Nice.
Why did I press the button?
Oh,
I should have pressed the
but
button.
yeah, no,
But now,
like,
if that was
so product-
Samsung,
when you-
that would have
yeah.
worked. Right?
Well, with product.
Yeah, no.
With products. Well, I
Wait.
mean, let's focus on the event tomorrow, guys. What do you want? What are we hoping? What are we seeing? What?
Oh, did you guys hear about
color?
the new MagSafe? stronger magnets
AirPods?
on the new iPhone. On the new
Yeah.
iPhone.
Oh,
for
yeah.
MagSafe.
The new it's the
And
cable, right?
um,
It's a new
The
cable.
iPhone 13 now with more magnets.
Right.
if you thought your phone didn't make you attractive before, try the iPhone 13.
Exactly.
It will even make your heart skip a beat.
the most
if you have a
attractive
pacemaker.
iPhone yet.
Literally, I was just gonna say, yeah, literally, right? Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Well,
So
I mean,
I mean,
there's not.
I think the
So what
Series
is it?
7 is probably. I
Go
think
ahead.
the Series 7 is probably going to be the champion of
I
the
was just
event.
gonna switch
I
to
really
that
think.
because
The Apple
everything
Watch,
Apple Watch.
improved battery life.
the redesign,
That
right?
that's something.
Redesign.
That's something.
Yeah, bigger
Redesign,
screen.
better battery life. It's like the
Uh,
better battery life since the
Bigger
OG Apple
speakers.
Watch, which is
And you can
saying
still
which
use
is
your
saying a
Apple
lot.
Watch bands back to the original Apple Watch because they're not
Hopefully.
gonna mess you up like some other companies do.
Mhm.
Most likely.
Hopefully.
Oh, like
might
what
still
you
be.
mean, like the Samsung watch, like the Samsung watches, like when they
Yeah,
do a
where they-
redesign.
I
I'm
didn't.
guessing.
I didn't keep up with that.
Yeah.
where
They didn't allow.
they're 20 millimeters instead of
What?
instead of the standard 22, which is the
Right.
same
Oh,
thing as the
no.
Active series. So essentially, what they did is they just made them all using the same size as what previously was the Active series ones. So you can get like an Active series band and it will work with the new ones, but that's not a standard size. Standard watch bands are 22 millimeters. Like you go anywhere and you look for a standard watch band, it's gonna be 22 millimeters usually.
But who wants to be standard?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
I
Apple
think-
does that all the time, Michael. It's never the standard of anything else, right?
But
So-
Apples are proprietary anyways, so
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, the way that they're swap out
Right.
and all that, and how
right.
what I am looking forward to seeing is some of the new monitoring stuff they're talking about. They're talking about like blood glucose through the skin and improved like faster SO2 reading,
Sleep tracking.
faster heart rate monitoring, faster EKG pickup. So instead of having to sit there for a long time and hold perfectly still, it can pick it up a little bit quicker. What else? I think
5G.
better battery life with improved brightness on the display still.
Okay, yeah, that's
You can have your always on display on and not like wreck the battery because they're optimizing it'll be second gen of the LTP or what they don't call that, but it's the LTPO display technology that drops all the way down
always
to
on
1
display.
hertz for the that
Yeah,
will be improved
yeah,
because
like
we're talking
whenever
about
it
next
brights
generation
out.
with that. What else?
I don't think the glucose monitor is coming.
Faster charging. I think probably. So you're not sitting there. If
Like
it has
what?
a bigger battery, can you imagine? You're gonna have like a 3-hour charge time if that battery's any bigger.
So you really think they're
So-
gonna bring like a 25-watt?
Oh no, I'm
charging
thinking
brick?
instead of like
right back.
I'm thinking instead of what are they at 4 watts or whatever they're at now for the Apple Watch, it's like 3.5 watts. That they'll jump it up to
Mhm.
like maybe a 5 or 6 watt, like a faster. Even a 4.5 watt from a 3.5 watt would be a jump. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
28% jump or whatever. To not have to sit there for. Although if the thing can last 3 days, like let's say it can last 3 days on a full charge, essentially, if you're somebody that's just going to put it on the charger after your day anyways, then you're only having to charge a third of it up. So essentially, it will charge faster by that passive. So if it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
if it's a third faster charging, but you only have to charge it a third as often, essentially it'll be like charging 4 times faster.
yeah, I get it.
Kind of.
Yeah,
You know?
and also, it's like one of those things where it's like everybody just like eggs me on about this. Being the Apple fan in the room is that like, oh, like like Android has had this like, what's it like? Y'all have those intense charging methods like 60-watt this like wire
Yep.
charging that can charge in 5 minutes. I'm like, that must not be good for the battery because it's like. If memory serves me right, all consumer electronics go off of lithium ion. We're not by sulfate
Or
lithium
poly.
sulfate yet. No, I think
No.
poly.
Graphene is where we want to go. Yeah.
It's
I think
but there's
lithium poly.
there's other factors to it in
Lithium
there
and poly.
because even like lower wattage, well, unless you're like super low, wattage wired charging is going to create some heat. So it's also about dissipating heat on
Right.
the charger side, and like, can you draw
Right.
heat? Oh, so some of these the next ones that they're working on too, that have like these super high wattage, there's actually wires in the cable to pull heat away from the device through the cable back towards like the charging block, and then the charging block is like sharing surface area for
So
heat dissipation along with the
so
device.
Hmm.
so if like so does what, but the question is that like does it really like, I guess, quote unquote, does it like, what can I say, like does it like affect the battery life in the long run? That's like just
I
those intensely
I was
charging.
using wireless charging entirely on my 11 Pro Max when I had it, and that thing was only down to like 96% when I got rid of it, like
Wow.
Oh
a
wow.
year and a half
I've
after I
heard the
had it
11
or
Pro Max
whatever.
was an exceptional beast, though, in that regard.
And
Yeah.
I only ever used wireless charging on that all the
Right.
time on a
Oh,
stand. And
solely.
but I
Wow.
have the Huawei 40 watt because I bought Mate 30 Pro to try out, and so that's got 40
Mm-hmm.
watt wireless. So that has a fan, so that will, like, if you have a device that supports faster wireless charging, the fan will kick on. But if it's doesn't,
Right.
it's just gonna use a normal speed. So like the iPhone will just charge at like the 7.5 watt wireless or whatever it is, because
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it doesn't trigger the 15 watt MagSafe.
Right.
Well, I'm not sure because
Mm.
there's not really a way to measure. I haven't found a way to measure wireless charging. Like, you can get apps that
Right.
will you can measure when you're corded, but
Right.
wireless. So, um, my thing is, no matter the method, if you can dissipate the heat well enough.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wireless it should be
It's
easier to
a it's
dissipate heat, because who's gonna like, if you're expecting a wireless charger to be a decent size, but like a wired charger, you wouldn't want to have a fan on and carry that around. Like, can you imagine having a little
Right.
fan
yeah
on your
no,
wired power block? On a wireless, you don't care because
yeah.
it's just snuck in there,
Right.
and if it's up at an angle, it's just kind of in there, and it's more for like, you have it by the side of your bed. You can take it with you to a
Yeah,
hotel, and your wired charging is for
yeah,
like in your car, and you can do wireless charging in the car, and there are ones with little
yeah,
fans and
but
stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
okay, yeah, no, because I get it, because it's like it's one of those things where it's like I think wireless charging has not really caught on the way that a lot of OEMs thought it would, because like I think wireless
It's
charging
getting
is
there.
like a
In the
yeah, I
U.S.
mean,
Yeah.
I think
Overseas,
I
everything's
think
like 30 watt is like the slow wireless charging over there.
Yeah.
that's true, but the thing about it, I think in the US and probably a lot of iPhone users, it's like via the wire. It's like via the lightning wire. That's it.
Right.
All day, every day. I charge my phone like
The
overnight,
wire.
which is like, yeah, like the TV show. Like they just charge it through the wire, and it's like that's the wrap. That's like the wrap of it. They haven't even heard of wireless charging. Wireless charging is too. The consensus I get from a lot of people is it's like too slow. And I'm like, it's supposed to just extend your battery life. It's not supposed to be like this like intense, like, you know,
It's one of
boom
those
boom
things,
boom,
like,
like
if you need a quick top up, plug in wired, but then at night, just use your slow wireless and let it. And then the other thing I like about that is I set it there, and it just, when it determines that I'm not using the device, the whole auto kick in thing where it automatically starts charging, it will, like, your device will only charge when you're not using it. It like learns your usage to do that or whatever.
Mhm.
With wireless, it's kind of nice because I just set it there, and then it just kicks on when it wants. I know I'm not gonna worry like, oh, I plugged it in and I sitting there and it actually didn't start charging on me because, for some reason it's just gonna kick on when it kicks on. I'll let
Well,
the
as long as
signal
you hear
in,
that little brrrt, right, you're good to go.
and then it will turn
What was
off
it?
when it's done.
Brrrt.
Oh my-
The other thing about wireless charging is,
You don't have that on your mix on your soundboard, do you, Mark?
No, I don't have that one. No,
the one thing about wireless charging that people don't think about is,
I think that's extra.
your phone can I mean, it does with wired charging, but it's a little bit, but not always. But the wireless charging on the phone and the charger itself can disconnect if it gets overheated. Where you could have a wired charger plugged in, and if your phone doesn't sense that it's hot, but the cable is hot, it might just keep drawing, and that could damage your. So for me, I feel like wireless is almost because both sides kind of determine if one gets hot, it just nope.
Right, and Tech Love and Mama points that out too. That it too warm. For me, it was a little weird for a couple of reasons. One, I already run hot, so hot devices, and we all know that heat's bad. Extreme temperatures are bad for electronics. More common than not is heat because of sometimes the device itself, the heat it's already giving, trying to give off, get rid of, and the MagSafe puck. Like to me, I like to use. I know you're not supposed to. We do a lot of stuff we're not supposed to, right? Use it while you're charging. MagSafe. The cable being too short, for that.
No, that's why I think because I see the MagSafe battery pack because the thing about it is that why I see the MagSafe battery pack is that it's like it's like it's not gonna charge your phone crazy, like if you're like a power user. But if you just use it for just regular stuff, like like maybe a little content browsing, or you want this to get you through your day, this is probably the battery to do it with. But if you're looking for something that will really get you through the day, like you're doing like Tom Cruise Mission Impossible stunts with it, for that. Yeah, like you're gonna need something more intense. I have the Mophie. I have the Mophie on deck.
Yeah.
And what I like
the only thing
mine's like 20,100 milliamp hours. I forget the brand, Adventure or something.
Wow. What I like is the idea with that Apple MagSafe battery pack is I take that with me, and I have a longer Lightning to USB-C cable, and it essentially becomes a MagSafe charge. When you plug that into the battery pack, then it charges your phone at
the
15 watts, and then charges the battery up. Which, if you think about it, it wasn't that long ago the iPhones were charging at 18 watts wired. Really, like if you think about it, and like even now they're at 20. So if you get that full 15 watts, it's not that much slower, and it shuts off if it gets warm, and it turns back on. And
that's 3 times the normal, right? Isn't it a 5 watt? The brick.
And then 5 watt was for the longest time.
The 5, I think, what was it? The 5 watt was since the OG iPhone, and then when the 11 Pro and the Pro Max came out, then we got to 18. But I think before then, I think we had 10 before. We had the 10 watt. Like if you ever bought the 10.5 inch iPad Pro at the time, which is this one right here, like you literally had like a 10.
It was 12 watt.
12 watt. I know.
Because they started that with the original 9.7 inch, like my 9.7 inch iPad Pro had the 12 watt, which is now the size of like the same size as my 30 watt MacBook charger, like almost the exact same size.
Yeah, actually.
But James, all the way through the iPhone 11, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael or Mark, they were still shipping that stupid 5 watt charger, right?
With the 11, but with the Pro, with the more expensive model,
I know.
With the Pro model, then you got the
regular
higher,
the standard 5 watt.
But the thing about it, but like,
what if they bring chargers back?
That's true.
Tomorrow.
Nope.
I'm saying let's speculate. This is all speculation, man. Come on now.
Right.
No need to get logical or follow reason this time. Let's get crazy. That's what these people clicked on this. The stream for.
So here at Apple, we heard that you guys were complaining about chargers. So we have partnered with Dodge to bring you the Apple car, the Dodge Apple charger.
Okay.
Right.
And everybody would be like, not that kind of charger. That's not what we were talking about.
Yeah, right.
The Dodge Apple charger charges with a lightning cable, but it doesn't come with the brick.
There you go.
It's not included, right?
It's a good one.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Or how about Tesla does something with one of their type batteries with bam, they're
I
done,
still want a Tesla that uses conductive charging like through underneath, and you just pull over it, and they call it the Tesla coil. Because obviously, and you just pull up over it, and
Yeah.
and then there's the other company that came out called that was Nikola, that was like the competing.
Oh,
What
Nikola,
about Apple Glass?
the trucks, yeah. Apple what?
Apple Glass.
Apple glasses. I think we're
Oh,
still
that would be-
quite far off, especially after the whole issue with concerns of privacy,
What?
and they
Confirmed?
pulled back.
Did you just say they're
Since they
confirmed
pulled
for
back.
tomorrow? Michael Pepper Tech, breaking
Since they
news.
pulled back
Yeah.
with
Apple
the
Glass is
whole
confirmed.
CSAM thing,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
see that they're gonna probably put off some
What does
of
it
the
have to do
security
with
stuff.
virtual reality
Privacy.
glasses or
I
augmented
think,
glasses?
I think,
All
I think,
privacy
I think,
concerned stuff.
yeah, I think because I think the AR glasses will be like his before he retires. Like I think that will be the product because I
Did he
think
say
the
within
VR
10
thing
more
is
years? Because that's way too long, man.
before
Wow.
10 years, before 10 years, before
Yeah,
10
yeah.
years. He's like, yeah, he's done. He's like, after this 10 years, I'm donezo.
You
So
talking
before
about
I'm
Cook?
donezo.
2030.
For Cook?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like saying,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm.
Would it
like,
make sense that
he
that,
said-
Well,
that
he's
we
like
would get that
60.
his
He's like
final
60,
year
right?
then? Doesn't that make sense? That we would get it his final year?
What?
So as late as
Maybe. Yeah.
2030.
Like-
Apple Glass in 2030.
No, I think 2025.
Apple Glass. It's clear that we want to be transparent with you when it comes to
Nah.
privacy.
Courage.
Michael's hitting
No
it off.
charger.
you know
Watch.
what?
No charger.
I think the
Correct.
thing about it is that like, yeah, it's funny. I just really think that like that will just be his last hurrah, and then he could just retire as CEO. The
Yeah.
thing about it is he's like very cemented. Like his legacy is solid. Like, as
Yeah.
much as I argue with the Steve Jobs fanboys back in the day because
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
He's
Our
cemented.
good
Is that
friend
your
Sarah.
ass's fault?
No, that's oh God. But the thing about it is, is that like I
I'm
think
surprised I still
that
have any left
Tim
in that
Cook,
button.
I think Tim Cook is a better CEO than Steve was because I didn't know this about Steve Jobs. I didn't know this is about Steve Jobs. Like a lot of the products that he made during his time as when he came back as CEO, like a lot of them weren't environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
Like they were like dug through the earth. They were like I think from our good friend Sarah, who kind of does like IT work for Apple,
Yeah.
like in the enterprising network. She told
Sarah
me this,
Gapper.
like I think that yeah, Sarah Gap, yeah. She said that like yeah, he had like an F rating from the
Yeah.
some environmental organization. I can't put the name to my mind right now, but that specific organization, yes. Yes, like she said that hey, because X, Y, and Z reason, I think she's like said like X, Y, Z reason, that's why he's I forget what she said, but like in the sense that like he had an F rating with that
Yeah.
environmental organization.
Yeah.
And it's like Tim Cook like he uses like less harmful materials like in the products. And also like
Yeah.
yo, he's like
Agree.
he is the logistics wizard. He is the
Right.
logistics wizard.
He
Like,
was that was his
like
expertise with supply chain.
oh
That's,
yeah, no. The thing about it is like that's why Steve Jobs poached him because
Right.
he worked for Compaq back in the day.
Mhm.
He was solid back in Compaq.
Yeah.
To
he was
go
on
with
point.
the company that was about to go under.
Right.
Yeah, like he
Did they
has
make it
a
out
lot
alive?
part of yeah, of course. We wouldn't be talking about him if they weren't here.
And I guess he moved on. I'm quoting
was it?
lyrics, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh,
Oh, again?
no, but James,
Yeah,
you're
it's
on.
just
Yeah,
some
no,
of-
you're on.
Keep
You're onto
up, people.
something.
That's what she said.
Right.
And the thing about it is that like he literally like a lot of the logistics that went on in Apple, like when Steve Jobs came back, was like was barbaric. Would be barbaric, and I think that he's a part of Steve Jobs' success as he was. I think Tim played a big role in his success. During his tenure at Apple.
A lot of people did.
During
I
his
mean,
tenure.
Yeah, Johnny
Steve
Ivy and a lot of
Steve knew people. Like he didn't.
Right.
Steve didn't really. He knew the right people to
But in
contact because he didn't know everything that was required to be successful. He
Right.
knew what he wanted. He knew the types of products. He had
Right.
visions of things,
Mhm.
and then he would just
Yep.
hire the people to make them. It was like
Right.
he was like the he was like if Walter White couldn't cook meth, and so he just hired a bunch of his friends.
somebody
Yeah.
to,
And that
to-
was kind of the
yeah, I
idea.
get it.
Like he has the recipe and he knows
Right.
like what he wants in the end result, but he just hired the right people.
Yeah.
And you didn't mess with them and you didn't piss them off because then you would never have a job after that.
Right.
Basically, like
You wouldn't
I
have
know,
anywhere
that's
that
not
was
a-
reasonable.
That's not a bad analogy because that's it. Yeah, that's exactly. He was a visionary, really. Like he made what is the
Yeah.
cliche? He made us want things we never thought we would need, right? And James,
I mean-
speaking of as a financial manager, there's no question he had and shoulders above what Jobs did. I mean, you look at what the stock's done. They're now issuing a second tranche of bonds.
He
I mean, he
was
never-
legit. He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
the thing about it is that like because I think and also that too that like I would agree with that point, and also like how much products have we gotten from Tim Cook? Like we have gotten the most options in
Yeah.
iPads, iPhones, Apple
I just
Watches.
realized I
Good-
made an accidental funny there because I was talking about meth and Tim's last name is Cook.
good
Ha
one.
ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that the thing about it is that like Tim Cook, like he Apple Watch, AirPods,
Mhm.
Apple Watch, AirPods, and the M1 MacBooks,
Mhm.
and all of his logistics that came along
Right.
with it.
Yeah, some
All of
of
his
that's
logistics
timing in the
are-
market, right? Some of that's
Well-
timing in the market, but the financial part,
Yeah.
there's no question. I mean, bringing back the
There's-
dividends,
And
issuing bonds. I mean, these are things that Jobs was never for. He was always opposed to
We're-
this stuff. You know,
We're just starting to, and I think we're just gonna start to see, and because I don't believe that we're even have seen yet projects from Apple that are post Jobs era. Like a lot of what's going
Mhm.
on and a lot of the designs, I believe were already in place way back then, and a lot of like the
Yeah.
products and stuff. And now we're starting to see the shift, like with the iPhone 12, with like going back to the retro design because
right?
Tim Cook loved that, and Johnny Ives was brilliant with creating that whole. And you know where that came from, where that design came from in the triangle camera or the triangle sensors, it came from cameras. Johnny Ives was loved
Mhm.
photography, and he designed that camera that they worked with. They worked with the company, created it. It was like a one of a kind, all white. The design, like the aesthetic, the fact that you had the front and the back, and then the trim in between was like its own separate. It was like it's like a ice cream sandwich. Like if you look at, you had the
Right.
two layers,
Yeah,
but like
glass,
shaved down, and you
uh,
had the nice beveled edges and like the beauty of it, and
glass and
it,
steel or glass and aluminum sandwich. Yeah.
and
Right.
aluminium.
layers. Like,
Everyone makes fun of the stovetop thing, but yeah.
like I'm gonna
Yeah.
take my phone out and you like look at just if you oh my gosh
Uh
if you look at how that is right, you have
I was expecting something else.
you
See how I
have
reached down there.
the side layer, and then you have this kind of bump up here,
right.
and then you have the lenses on top, and then you have like another layer on top. Everything's stacked, but it's all like perfect lines from the side. The way that they designed that, it's kind of hard to see, but
Cover
the
your
way
face.
that
Yeah.
everything's just
Do you
kind
have
of
autofocus?
stacked.
Do you have autofocus? No.
The way that it's all stacked was intentional.
We need
and
that
just the
focus.
shaping of it. And you notice like the slight change between this and like the 11, where they made it where it's more ramped up on the edge instead of that sharp
Right.
edge to it.
You mean like that
Um,
little like
Y-
that bump area of it?
Yeah.
y-
So
you know
that's
what?
all stuff that they've worked on perfecting, and
Mm. You know what else that I'd like to see? You know what else I'd like to see at this
What
event?
new cases?
All the iOS 15. I would like them. I would like for them to just announce iOS 15. I know they already did. What was it? 14.8.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me 15. Give me 15. Stop with the
Mhm.
bullshit. Like,
I
give
thought one of
me
them was 0.9.
15.
Which one was 0.9? I saw.
there's
Was it Zolotech? I think he made a list of like all of the ones that came out today.
I
Or
wonder what they're gonna do about the fact that there's now like several of the major iOS 15 features that are being delayed for like maybe a
what was
couple
the
months
yeah,
because you
no
Was
have
it
universal
like, is it
control.
SharePlay? SharePlay,
SharePlay
right?
is
I
one, but
think Share.
that was a
Like universal
copyright
control,
that
right?
was a copyright issue. But I'm talking about like the whole like continuity thing where you can use like your mouse from one to they made it work between
Yeah,
Mac and Mac, but they haven't
You
made it
mean,
work from
oh,
Mac
you
to
mean
iPad yet.
universal control? You mean
Yep, they haven't
universal
made it
control
Mhm.
for iPad?
between Mac and iPad yet, so it's like it's great for all the
I
people that
think
have
when
two Macs, but not for the people that
Right.
actually
have
need
a
a
Mac
mouse
and
on
an
both.
iPad,
yeah, that'd
yeah,
be
a
really.
Well, they
Mac
have
and an
that.
iPad.
That that
And the thing
sidecar.
about it is yeah, and the thing about
Like
it is
like
like
sidecar
universal
on
control. I
steroids.
think universal control will be like RC. It'll be a
Yeah,
RC of Mac OS Monterey because Mac OS Monterey didn't get an RC this week. I don't think so. I don't think it got an RC this week because when
get a
they get
remote.
when an RC no what when a release candidate for a
Uh,
beta
Mhm.
is
that's too
released,
nerdy for me.
usually it's not too far away from the actual thing getting released.
It's
It's
not
usually not too far
the
away.
universal control has been in Mac OS betas for a while in
But not the iPad. I don't
the
think, right?
sub stuff, and then it was in what's weird is
I think they took it
um
out of the iPad.
on the iPad, if you go into the setting for handoff and you toggle that on and off, then underneath it has the toggle for universal for like move cursor between this device and
Yeah.
for universal control. It's actually been there longer on the iPad than it's been on. They just haven't activated it, so it's like that's why it just disappears until you like, toggle it on and off because it's not fully activated yet.
Yeah,
And on the
yeah,
Mac,
and
people were able to go in and force it on, so like you could use it from like your MacBook to your iMac. But there's no way to do that on an iPad because you don't have like the terminal to go into and edit like the root code and all that of it to be able to force it
but
on.
Terminal
you know
support
what
now on
but
iPad.
No.
but you know
Tomorrow.
what the next thing is too, and I want iPad OS 15 to come out so I can go widget crazy. I
Oh,
like
wait.
give me
Can't
my
you,
yeah.
do they still force you to? You can't put them anywhere on the screen. I think they still like
Everything's still forced. I hate
collapse
it.
to the first
Yeah.
spot, right? Yeah.
It's like
So what
You
the
it's
heck?
like
know
having
what?
it's like having a glass of water but upside down. Everything like floats to the ceiling. It's like being in
Yeah, I
outer
was gonna
space with
say
a
Right.
you
glass.
can put any widget you want anywhere so long as you have 100% widgets on your screen, because then
Yeah.
Hey,
you
you
can
know what? You
position
know
them.
what? Widgets are legit. Let me go to
I
Widgets
my
hate
are
like
whack.
this is how
I hate that Today View is
Widgets
look
are
how
gone
whack.
my
though.
Storage
shit is.
options are
Look
whack.
how my
Refresh rate
shit
is
is.
whack.
Look how my shit is.
Camera
I got podcasts.
minuscule incremental camera improvements are whack.
At
The same
least
colors
make
we have
widgets
will be whack
like
now.
functional. So if you have a music player, you can
Boo.
play and pause and actually do something with them. Like, what's
Right.
the point? They're
Like the
essentially
clock
just little
widget. Like the
icon.
clock
It,
widget.
You know what?
all
If
Like the
widgets
if
clock
are is
widget.
as,
oversized icons shortcuts
Right.
to your
how about
app
this?
because you have to click on it
Right.
to actually do anything.
As
Exactly.
You know
as
what?
minuscule
I think
as
the
minuscule as the updates that they usually give us, right? To just to mash stuff together. As minuscule that it's been, I think that if we're gonna be petty, then let's get petty. There's some stuff that can be fixed with software that I wish they would
Like
have
Tom
done. Do you guys
Petty.
remember the old volume
Right.
button? Whenever you would do volume, that fat square that pops up right
Right.
in the middle of your screen.
Yep.
That same square is still happens when you do, I believe, playing up next and added to library, I think, inside of Apple Music. You still get that same humongous square. Can we do something about that, Apple developer people?
Of course they can.
Please. Because when did they get rid of the volume thing where it's just a nice slim sliver that pops out
Just
from
a
the
few
Or
months
the-
ago, I think.
side of the thing and then it goes
Or
away?
if you have
Something
control
like that.
ringer with buttons enabled, sometimes I'm sitting here trying to raise the or lower the volume of Netflix, and it's controlling the ringer for some reason, even though I have Netflix
Okay.
playing, because
think,
there's like
yeah.
a bug and glitch in there.
Depending
so
what
at least if they were to give us kind of like so Mark, on the Android side of things, it does where you can tap it and it will pop out so you can control all the individual for like your alarm and your ringers. If Apple were to do something like that, they could easily do it, because like in like the control panel where you can press and hold and it gives you more settings for like
Yeah.
for example for like your AirPods,
Oh,
it
so
gives
press
you like your
hard press on the volume
and like
bar.
on the
get multiple
MacBook it
volume
gives
bar.
you like your
That'd
it
be
gives
cool.
you like multiple display settings. If they could do that with
Yeah.
the volume, it would be so like in control panel to even be able to get it from there, because when you press on volume, all it does is brings you up other options if you have AirPods connected.
Right.
Give me the
Right.
option for like sliders for your ringer and your alarm and all your stuff in there instead of having to go into settings. Or even a shortcut to the settings would be nice. Just give me a
I think
tap
you can.
goes into shortcut into
I think you
settings
can
to
do
it.
James,
But-
what were you gonna say before I mentioned that? You had something.
Oh. Oops, sorry. I'm sorry I just spaced out there for a second. But I mean
Put 'em on blast.
I just think like no, what we talking about iPad. Yeah, I just don't
Widgets?
like, I don't know what it is. I love widgets, man. I'm widget crazy. I hate this BS. I hate this BS. I hate this BS on the side, man. I hate this BS,
Turn it
man.
off.
Like,
What are we gonna do?
I need
I'm
the
just
bigger
mad
canvas.
that Today View is gone.
Get the,
in iOS
get the beta
15
if you're
because
so
of that,
impatient.
and-
You need
Get the
Somebody-
beta
Dex.
like I have.
But I
You need
love
Dex for iPad.
I love, you know what my single
Introducing
favorite
Dex.
feature of iPad
You know
OS
what?
15
Not
is?
Apple
Of
Dex.
all of the things with iPad OS 15, my single favorite thing is the app
Is it the
library,
quick
because all you have to do is
Ooh.
have your apps that you use most of the time on the thing. And for multitasking, since you have the dock, you can bring it up and then you can get to all your stuff from there really easily. Also, if you have a keyboard connected, search to get to any app. So you just do like command spacebar or hit the search thing if you're using a dedicated keyboard that has it, and just start typing. So you never have to go home for anything. Literally, you can get to everything just from search. You can get to a contact. You can do everything without even using a cursor.
Tell the younger me
brilliant.
that. You never have
It's
to go
the s-
home. Sweet.
It's the single most
Yeah.
underrated feature on iOS and macOS out there is the search, because you can do so much from it. You can do all your calculations. You can do web searches. You can search through like your photos based on location, what's in the image, the person that's in it. You can do web
Oh,
search
hey,
for it. You
calculator
can
for
find an
iPad.
app. You can find an app that lets you do it. Here's one thing that's really annoying though. You
Native
can use-
calculator for iPad.
you
How about
can-
that? Tomorrow.
You have a nice, beautiful weather widget that you can put on an iPad. You can ask Siri
Oh
the
my
weather, and it
God,
pops
that
open a
too.
thing. But if you click, it brings you to weather.com. Why can't they just grab that section that they use in Siri and that's
You
in
know
the
what?
widget and make that your damn app with more information?
Right.
They bought a
You know,
a
Just copy
weather.
paste
Dark
from
sky.
iPhone.
They bought Dark Sky.
No, they bought
like literally,
Dark
you bought a
Sky.
huge company. Just use it.
Right.
Literally. Lazy
You know what?
mother.
You know what they could just rectify. You know what they could just rectify this with?
Mother developers.
And I think the thing about it is like, make a dark sky widget. Make a dark sky widget that works for both iPhone and iPads. Like, make a dark sky widget. That would heed to the
Until they-
complaints of the
If
weather
the-
app.
If the widgets were interactive, then you wouldn't be complaining, because you could scroll through your full day and like scroll through your future days within the weather widgets, and they wouldn't even have to make an app. But instead, they decide to just half-ass both things, and it's a link to a website. And if you don't have internet, you're in trouble, where stuff could be preloaded within an app, or going to the website has all the ads and all the crap next to it that there's. So essentially what Apple is doing is they are literally making money for weather.com and all the ad providers
Yep.
for, because when you click on that, you go
Yeah, they're
to
generating
weather.com. So it makes me wonder, like, did weather.com pay Apple to like not create a separate for that purpose?
I see. It's like, yeah, I could probably see that. And maybe their contract with weather.com isn't up. Maybe their contract isn't up, and maybe they're just biding time. So I would probably put it to that sentiment. Is that like, come on, rookie streamer?
Oh no, what's going on? What was that? You flashed me?
I think.
Come on, guys. Whoa, wait.
I think. I think. You know what?
different hair, man. Wow, look at that hair. Hey, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
But
He's trolling.
I
He's
just-
trolling.
let's
He's trolling us.
see.
I got to You know what? I haven't put my icon on. I got to fix that. My little no camera icon. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, but I really think that maybe their contract with weather.com isn't up yet. And
That's what
that's
that's from, by
why
the way.
They have a contract. Wow.
I mean, bro, you
They
know,
have
you
something,
can't
you would assume. Yeah.
yeah, they'd have to have a contract with them that's kind of not up. It's kind of like with the whole Intel like Intel to M1. I'm like, wasn't there supposed to be like one that was gonna come out? But I think Apple scrapped it because like Intel was just being so bashful to them, you know, as a vendor to Apple. It's like, man, was it like after 10 plus years of doing business, you come at us with like these ads that are just attack us and talk about why the chips overheat, and it was your problem that the chips, the MacBooks overheated in the first place. Like, take blame for your transgression and be done with it. But no, you're on this pity party. The same thing I could say about Epic Games. I'm just like, Epic Games is not even for developers. They're really for themselves.
Yeah.
They're like, if we Epic Games had our own developer store, our own app store, we don't care about every other developers. And for the developers that I
But would
talk
they be
to,
as successful as they are with their
and then
own?
Epic can
I
charge
don't
developers a percentage and get money from
so
the
Epic is gonna
developers
show
for
up
apps that they didn't
Unreal
make.
Engine. The Unreal Engine, like Apple was gonna go nuclear warfare on them. Like they were gonna delete the Unreal Engine, developer
tomorrow morning
account.
at the Apple event that this whole stream is about.
Can you imagine if so here's the thing. Epic doing what they wanted to do would be like me walking into Walmart and demanding that I can
Target.
operate my own store in the middle of Walmart and sell my own product without paying them for renting any space and the advertising that they're drawing people into the store for. Or like I'm a farmer and I want them to sell my own milk, and I'm just gonna walk into like Meijer or Walmart or Target or wherever, and I'm just gonna put my milk in their coolers and walk out and then demand that their cashiers sell it and that they don't take any money from me and it all goes to me.
Right.
And I don't have to pay for their cooling space and I don't have to pay for anything. And if generators are required because power goes out, they're gonna provide that too. Because think about it, Apple has to do that. Apps have to be hosted on their servers.
There's overhead, of course. I mean,
the whole diminishing percentage thing for larger developers makes sense. When you've been developing apps for longer, it no longer costs Apple as much to promote you because you've already made a name for yourself. And when you're smaller, a higher percentage, like for example, 30% of 5 million is the same thing as 15% of 10 million. So it's a set amount that they know that they need to make, and it's based on the average amount that the developers in that size range bring into Apple, that if they take 30% of that, they can cover their costs.
And also the thing about it is that like Epic Games did not pull this BS with PlayStation, like their biggest moneymaker, because like PlayStation like has to have like
they did go after
PlayStation
Google,
wants a
though.
third, but it's not like PlayStation. PlayStation is their biggest moneymaker. PlayStation is their biggest moneymaker. Like what was it? Like during this whole lawsuit that happened with Apple and Epic, um, the who was it? The the IGN did a good piece on it of like how Fortnite or Epic Games make their money, and the PlayStation
Nothing
Store
better
is
than a
like the
good
biggest.
piece.
Yeah, no, it's like the PlayStation Store. It's a PlayStation Store that makes all their money, and it's like they take their 30% cut to the chin. They take their 30% cut to the chin. But Apple, a $1 trillion company, you wanna throw hands with and say the 30% cut is too much. Get
After
out of here.
agreeing to it. That's the whole thing.
And
They agreed to
seriously,
it.
Wow.
and
Yo, these are
seriously,
our terms.
and
You
think
wanna
about
play
okay,
ball,
so
play ball.
the numbers that
Yeah, Apple
Epic
event.
was gonna have to pay to Apple was like $3.5 million. So that means that like that basically Epic in the time that they weren't paying anything to Apple and then they were still on there made over $10 million.
Yeah.
If they if
Mhm.
they're 30% cut or what? Oh no, they were probably and I think that was only for a 15% cut. I think Apple only
3.3.
asked for a
Oh, wait, it's 30.
15% cut on that,
It's 30 on the
even though
dot.
they were
So
supposed to be paying 30. So
3 million. Oh,
yeah,
1.5 million
so
from
so
one app.
so
Wow.
you know they want Apple wanted their $3.5 million for that 30%. So that means the remaining percent was 70% there was a pretty good and that was just for the few months that Epic basically wasn't paying and was still on the App Store. So think about how much they've made over the many years, like billions of dollars.
Yeah. Well,
And
but if
this
I
the
get
terms
not.
are unfair, they should have been renegotiated. I mean, that's I kind of
That's what
agree
I
with
was
that.
gonna say. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah, then
Right.
wait
It's like
until
business.
your contract or your agreement is up and renegotiate, or get the hell out and go somewhere else.
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you
Right.
don't have to
Yeah,
go
but
through
but
Apple.
but
That's true.
the founder slash CEO works on emotion. He doesn't work on logic. Like I could tell that by just his actions that he's made through this. He is just like burning through money, like appealing it, everything towards the court, and it's like Apple is like, sure, we'll fight you in court again, but you're
appeal
gonna
is just an
lose
anagram of Apple, after all.
Oh no.
for real.
And you can't have an Apple without appeal.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
I could do a reverse,
But you can have a banana, right?
Oh no.
I don't know. That one slipped my mind.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that it's just one of those things to where it's like, yeah, it's just like Apple is just gonna just go like they're gonna really just.
Oh wow.
I
I
think this
just
is one of those.
flip.
I think this is one of those things to where it's like it will be like a thing, so to speak. Like it'll be like I think like for
Sharkfin
distract-
is such a huge Yankees fan that he refuses to say he's ever met anybody.
Uh,
Oh, good.
gotcha. That got you there. Set yourself up for that one.
got him,
Mhm.
Yeah.
got him.
I like the clock though.
Thank you. That clock
It's
is
neat.
very old.
Yeah, the
I was
clock
And if
is
you ever
legit.
notice, it doesn't change the battery.
I was gonna say, is it so old that time didn't exist and you had to actually add those hands afterwards?
Nah.
I'm surprised it's not in black
I
and
would
white.
expect that more from Sequence, that type of joke.
It was originally a sundial.
Yeah, exactly.
Until the owner gave it away to their female child, and then it became a daughter dial.
There you go.
Yeah.
Getting you
Yeah,
two
but
together
I
is
think,
dangerous.
Oh man.
but I really think that like, so what do you think about like, I guess going into like another website to where it's like people can subscribe for subscriptions and everything like that,
The
like
thing-
like hey, email
Well,
and stuff like that. Because
The
Again,
thing
they-
is,
I think granted, I think people are just going to use Apple stuff because
The thing-
they just have that good track record. Go on.
the thing is, all Epic would have to do is essentially it would be more. They just don't want more work for them to make the apps, like the games, available as individual apps, and then have it like you pay for you pay for a service and it gives you access to, or like you access them, you pay for them through a separate website, and then go in and you get access to them. They wanted to have their own a way to do it. They kind of wanted to almost do it like Netflix, but the problem is Netflix is a curation of media where these games, some are, you have free games,
Right.
you have paid games, so you're not paying Epic for like if it was a service where like you pay Epic and then you just get access to these, and you played within like the Epic launcher, that would be one thing, because technically you do download Netflix when you watch it because it buffers, but then it's gone. Like it buffers a certain amount of it and then it's gone.
Mhm.
So if Epic
You're
were to
ready
do
for-
something similar, I could see
Yes.
it working, but the problem is games are just different. And so if Epic would have came in and said, we need the judge to determine how it should be treated, because here you have Netflix that does things, and then you have like the Amazon app where people are quite literally buying product through it. Should games be considered as sold like a product, like Amazon
No.
Shopping, or should they be considered like a stream? Like, how do you consider it? And Apple was brilliant because their thing with Apple Arcade is brilliant, because you're not paying for the apps, you're paying for it, and then you download them separately as like a part of that service. You get access to them. Epic's problem is they have some that are free and some that are paid. Now, what Epic could have done is done separated things. They could have had one app that has all the free games, and then been able to do it like kind of like Apple Arcade, like a competitor to it, where you pay for a service, you get access, and it like creates a code, and you put that into the app
But
store and
doesn't-
pay
but-
for it or
but-
whatever.
But isn't
And then
the
the
app,
paid ones, they
isn't
could do the
X-
same thing for it, but
So you think
But
tomorrow?
isn't like Game Pass? Isn't Game Pass the same right now? Isn't Game Pass the same on iOS and iPad OS, or is it just like, or is it just a shell of Xbox?
Game
Xbox
Pass
Game
is
Yeah. Wasn't
is
multiple
within
platforms.
is you've paid
Within
for,
the app.
and it's streaming. You're not downloading. That's the thing. Epic wanted to
Exactly,
do to
right.
be able to download, which is what differentiated that aspect of it. And
Yeah, because like everybody
and
was
to get
complaining
access to
about
those, you can't pay for. Let's see, what's the deal? You have to pay for the game through the browser, and then you can play it through the
Mhm.
app, or
So you think
like through
that-
your Xbox.
You think now that the decision, the verdict was reached, that we're gonna have a representative of Epic Games and a segment in Apple's event tomorrow?
They still have
it. Nope.
They still have till
Nope.
like mid-October for before Apple
there-
actually had to do what was
Is there an
said,
Apple Arcade?
and then they're appealing, and they'll just keep
Plus?
appealing.
Is there a Plus tier yet for the Apple Arcade?
Nope.
No. So tomorrow we're getting
It's just
It's
like
just all
regular
part of
arcade.
it.
You know what?
They
I
should have
think the
just called
weird-
it Plus, because
You know what? The thing
everything
is-
else is Plus.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? I think, I think the interesting service I would like to see happen, and I know this is not going to happen, is like Book Plus.
Books Plus.
Wow.
What a
Yeah,
Boo.
Whatever
Yeah.
happened?
I don't
Whatever
have the
happened
boo
to Apple?
sound
Apple's like iBooks. Whatever happened to all
Yeah.
that stuff? Anyway,
I mean, it just
Movie.
simplified it into books. They just simplified it into books.
Mm.
They just simplified it into
Movies
the books
exist.
app. They
it would
just
be
simplified
difficult
it
for
into
them because so many people get access to a lot of books through their local library, including like free, being able
hell
to
is a
download
library?
them through like their.
Oh yeah, I got a few of them on Black Friday. Just like a few of them. But I'm like
And
the
then-
paid tier ones. The
mean,
paid
like-
tier ones the free ones can just be included, but the paid tier ones can be like the ones that, you can use a credit towards. Like, say I wanted to buy XYZ book. I guess like say for example, I wanted to buy like Daryl E's book.
Right.
And I want to learn more about the craft that I'm in, aka YouTube. And
This
wanna
right
know-
here annoys the hell out of me. I blocked it. Why are you putting up a block in Apple News that says I've blocked it and wants me to click to show anyways?
Wow.
If I've blocked it, it means I don't want to see it. Don't waste the space. Like, I've had pages full of stuff sometimes. Like, just
What,
don't
full of
show it to
ads?
me. No,
Do
for
you
like
have News Plus?
for like certain like Bloomberg or certain ones that I might not want to
Yeah,
see or something. You click do not show or whatever or block or whatever. It still shows in there, and I'm paying. Well, I got it for free for like 3 months or whatever it is, but technically it's News Plus. So why are you still showing me this blank spot show story anyways? Like that should just
So
be a
wait,
setting I can reactivate the blocked ones. Like you're
yeah, that's
wasting
silly.
space. I could have just left
Right.
it and just scrolled through if you're just gonna put a placeholder for all those anyways.
Because it goes without
but
saying anyway,
yeah,
right?
but gents, I know it's getting a little bit late for a lot of us, so I'm about to peace out myself. I don't know where the hell Mark went. It seems like he's just missing in action somewhere.
That's a funny phrase. You're about to piece out yourself like an apple pie.
So yeah, apple pie, so I can get to some of this apple goodness come
Think about
tomorrow.
it. In about 12 hours, will be.
Oh yeah, I don't even know if I even want to do a Twitter space tomorrow. I don't even know if I want
Yeah.
to even do a space because it's like I know people are gonna have Twitter spaces for days. Like I know that's like one that Trenton is
There's a
going on
bunch
with it
of
right
live
now.
streams people have set up already at like for like noon tomorrow with about all these live streams where people are like gonna be like live live
Hold on,
reaction
I heard
and
a
stuff,
joke. I
and it's
had you
like
guys on the iPhone. There we go. Someone cracked a joke, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, the thing is, like, I'm just interested for a lot of stuff. Like, I am stoked about it. I'm just like,
Definitely, man.
I'm thrilled for a lot of the stuff. Like, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff to talk about coming in the coming weeks, and then, of course, the two events that we're gonna get like during this fall, this one and the next event, which is probably going to be the M1X Max and the iPads. I think we might get the Mac Mini at
can you
the next
imagine if they
event.
followed naming with a Mac like they do their iPhones? You'd have like the M1, you'd have the M2 Max Pro Max.
Oh no. Do you think we're gonna get the M1X versions of 3 Max just like we did with the original run of the M1s?
I think we're going to get an iPad and iPhone,
All right.
iPad
I guess not
and
the Air, right?
Mac
It would be
event.
the 14.
No, I think we're going to get a Mac and a
I think.
iPad event, just like we did in 2018
I
with
mean, they have
the
to
with the
continue with
redesign.
whatever MacBooks they're doing with the same, just because that's like think about it in the past. MacBook Air and MacBook Pro always they always kept updating. It might just be like a newer version of an i5 and an i7 with the Air, and then you got all the way up to like the i9 with like the 16-inch Pro. But they're just gonna continue that, and I think I don't know what they're gonna do about like 14 versus 16. If it's just gonna be a size difference, and then 16
I
inch should
think it's
probably
gonna
get
be
a
a
little
size.
bit better battery life because the screen
Yeah.
isn't that much larger, but you have a larger battery to put it in.
Well,
But your processor
but
still takes up the same amount of space.
yeah.
but the thing
Maybe
about it
larger
is,
fans for cooling. I could imagine larger fans for cooling, so you can clock that processor up more, so they can have the same processor, but it can
but
boost.
I really
longer.
think that this is gonna be two things. It's gonna be two things. I think what was it? The rumor is that like it's supposed to like have the same performance as the 14
Sure.
inch, so it won't even be. So there won't even be a difference. I like Apple.
Well,
the
there could be an
M1.
artificial difference.
Hold on.
So
I hold on a second. I wasn't not I didn't complete the sentence I was gonna say, but I think it's gonna be two things, and one being that like if it's gonna be the same performance, a lot of people will not have the incentive to buy the 16-inch MacBook Pro unless they like that form factor. Unless they
Larger
like that
device,
form
larger
factor.
Yep.
screen for
That's me.
editing videos and
Right.
editing photo and stuff, and
Yep.
as long as it's same pixel density. But the other thing, and potentially bigger,
And it
having
should
a
have
bigger battery,
better
you should
battery
have
life.
a pretty good size larger battery because you're
I
talking
mean,
about
I mean,
angle
Right.
distance. So you're talking about you
Yeah.
know, a
So-
seventh
so-
more screen real estate. So whatever that would be then this direction and up.
So what do you think the battery life will be on the 16-inch though? Like,
And-
will you think it will be like 23 on
20.
on a high performance day, but like 30 doing like light work or something?
Yeah, man.
I think
Actually, that's exact between 20
I think
and
it's
30.
gonna be. I think it'll be not much different than the 14-inch because you also have to talk about bigger screen and still a bright display and
Mini LED too.
Have it on, right? Isn't mini LED
Yeah.
more energy efficient?
Yeah.
and I still think that the
But it's more
16-inch would have
costly, too.
some
space.
side effects of because there's space where they could potentially put slightly larger fans. So even if it's a half an inch diameter larger fan, that's
Well-
more surface area of air you're moving. You're able to cool it so they can
Yeah.
wait They can either wait longer for that SoC to heat up and then kick them on,
So the
or
other
they can have them running at a lower speed and move the same amount of air
If-
and
two things.
keep that
If it
running
is,
longer.
I really think it's gonna be that twin turbine fan.
It's
That's
the endurance
in the
test
iMac.
though on it.
I
If
think-
you think
I
about
think
it,
it's
it's the
gonna be
long-term
the-
test. So you get the 16-inch if you're doing like
yeah,
half an hour editing, hour-long editing.
yeah, rendering and all that. Sure.
Right.
If they come out with if they're gonna up the RAM and you're doing 3D rendering stuff, you know.
So here's the other thing. Assuming they're gonna get the same chip, and if with that, it would stand to reason that the configurations would be the same. Yeah. So if Apple does Apple things and says, you know what, we're gonna limit the RAM and maybe the GPU option if you're allowed to, select something different from between the 14 and the 16, leaving the higher options for the 16 only as a further incentive. Yes, it would be artificial, but is that enough? Like, how much outrage would there be for that if they're like, it's the same chip, I should have the same options? They're like, well, no.
Or will they do like they did with the Air and the Pro, where like the Air they just had one with one fewer GPU cores, but you could still get the higher core one. You just paid more, but then it was kind of a like,
Yeah,
well,
sure.
I can also
Yeah.
go to the
They're gonna
Pro,
go that route.
and if I want if I want that, and then
The fan.
and then just not upgrade my other stuff, and then the price difference where you look at like for example with the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, you had like a $999 and $1299 or whatever at like starting, but then the fact that actually with the Air you had to pay like the $100 more, so then it's actually like a $200 price difference
Yeah.
between the actual same models. If they did the same thing with the two sizes, that's their way of like making it so that you can offer a smaller size at that cheaper price point. But then when you compare like same storage, same RAM, same cores, and all that, it's actually a little bit closer. The other thing you have to think about too is like speakers, because remember that 16-inch MacBook Pro also still has some of the better speakers. The Intel model even has some of the better speakers because you have more space. So there's other aspects to
the
it.
studio quality, they're gonna probably
And
they're gonna
and microphones, and there's all sorts of
Spatial
aspects
audio.
of space that you have in there.
spatial audio.
So you think maybe
spatial
they'll
audio coming?
have like non processor hardware differences, like aside from the mini LED, that they would have just we gave it better microphone array and better speakers.
Maybe not microphone array, because even like the M1 MacBook Air has pretty good microphones as it is, like in there. If you saw Viper's stream where he accidentally streamed using the internals and nobody said anything,
Oh, right, yeah.
that's pretty impressive. I mean, I've known people that have live streamed from their 16-inch MacBook Pro,
And you
and
noticed?
even when the fans kicked on, you didn't really hear that because of the noise isolation stuff that's in there. And
That's pretty cool.
but just the physical space next to the keyboard, on each side of the keyboard, having more space for for more resonance in the speakers.
Oh, what about ports? You just reminded me of that. What
Yeah.
What if there's one more USB-C port on the 16 just cause?
That's a whole nother sort
Something
of
like, because then again, if they're the same, that right, wouldn't that be another? Hey, why different if same? Right, with RAM options, with storage options, with the GPU, if there are options.
Or I mean, we could see them adding ports
Quite
into
different,
there.
Nick
We could see them adding ports in there, and the 14-inch. We could see it actually being a shift where the 14 inch is actually the Air, and the 16
Yeah.
inch is the Pro, and so now that's the
Right,
reason why
right.
adding some of the
Yeah.
differentiations with the larger one, instead of like in the past you had like a 13.3-inch MacBook Air and Pro, and then the larger Pro.
Yeah.
Now they just skip to you have the 14 inches the Air and the 16 inches the Pro, and
Well,
also
what they've
because with the 16-inch you could put fans in there, and
Yeah.
that differentiation would be
Right.
and still have like plenty of space for a big battery, and you would need the cooling because
And it
you have
makes
a
sense
bigger
because of
display.
the higher horsepower
Also to
processing.
also
Yeah.
to cool like
Exactly.
an HDMI port and an Ethernet port potentially, especially like
Sure.
if they offered a 10 gig Ethernet, you need the cooling to somehow reach that to cool that down.
Yeah.
Even
You know,
even a 1 gig one needs
what's
some cooling to maintain. So offering some of those things, and then that's the Pro model.
What's funny is that they sort of already established that because we're going to bottom to top, right, with this whole transition, Apple Silicon away from Intel transition, where essentially everything, according to Apple, that they've the M1 is, step one, level one, tier one, where it's entry level. All entry level stuff gets it. Now, what throws that off is that the Pro iPads have it too. And yeah, of course, the way they marketed it is like, that they showed the iMac first and then showed the iPad later and stole
They're all
the chip,
around
literally
similar price
transplanted it
points.
over and did the little meme worthy, dance, right? So with that, it's like, okay, sure, that's the exception. But now, back to the fans thing too, where with this cooling, they're like, hey, these are way more energy efficient, but with that way we squeeze more horsepower, and just because of how electronics work, maybe they tweak the fans and they're quieter fans. Period. Whether they're going to be, on or off, on or off less often, right? I mean, switching on less often, but even though being on, maybe they're able to. We'll see. We'll see what they treat us to. All the stuff that we can't see, right? Not just the processor and the RAM or what have you, stuff that's inside, right? That we don't see. Like, I mean, you technically don't see the microarray, you hear it, right? And then I guess speakers too, except for the grills. But what all we're gonna get with this redesign, hopefully, right? That the leaks and rumors were true, also because the two things that I think I'm most excited about with the redesigns. I would hate that if they were like, oh, we missed it by a year. The Series 7 redesign is actually next year. And then, next year's or the year after that, MacBooks are the ones that are going to get the redesign. Even if we do get the M1X in the same body or whatever, you're like, that would be a big blow. Nice.
What would be crazy awesome to see? MacBook Air, similar style to what we have. So basically everything the same to what we have now, but the slightly larger display and a membrane underneath the keyboard and sealed ports, so you have a waterproof MacBook or like water resistant MacBook for like college students, because
IPX rating.
Really the cost.
That's really dreaming, Michael.
It wouldn't be that difficult to do because the SoC can be coated. Awesome, there's not moving parts because there's no fans, so there's no grill that's necessary. And you can make it one way so air can move out, but water can't move in. We've already seen it done with other devices. Seal off the ports are not that difficult to do, and literally a membrane, like where the keyboard is underneath it, just kind of keeps everything from getting to electronics. And they could keep the price point the same, or even bump it up by $100 and be like, it's the new M1X. It starts at, and maybe it comes with, there's not the reduced, we're not going to reduce, drop the 8th core or whatever out of here, but, it's not going to operate as powerful because it doesn't have fans. You have a larger display this year. You have the updated processor. You still only have 2 ports. You'll be able to water cool it. And you don't have to worry about your kid spilling something on it. It's going to be,
right,
the peace of mind of
and also the thing is that, like, I think between the 14 and the 16-inch MacBook Pro, I I think there's gonna be probably. I think it is gonna cram a lot of bells and whistles into it. Meaning
'Cause
that, like, you know,
the
whatever we got rid of in, like, you know, AMD CPUs and NVIDIA graphics card, we'll just make up for it in like other ways, like more bells and whistles. Like, I really think that could
Yeah.
just be the angle that they take it. And plus, like, Apple, knowing their market, they're the market leader in the space, they'll probably get away with it. I mean, because I've seen that a lot of people are just kind of horror at the, you know, the M1 nightmares that everybody has, where it's like, hey, it doesn't work with this, it doesn't work with that, da 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 da. I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like a first, it's a first person product, like every like everything in tech. The first generation one is the one that's the horrible one.
Yeah.
Like it's
The one that's
like
going to be
the
the
first
most buggy,
iPhone.
sure, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
the
the guinea
first
pig.
iPhone,
Yeah.
the first
Apple
the
Watch.
first Apple Watch, the first Apple Watch. Hell, I'd probably even say the first iPad. Like, you know, like all of these, you know, nuances
AirTag.
of like, I guess so. I mean, I don't think they're gonna make a second gen AirTag, but that's here nor
AirPods
there.
Max.
That I could. I think
want
that's
them
too
to
much
stand
of a
up.
niche product.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I think that's too much of
Continue.
a niche product. That's too
And
much
I
of a
mean,
niche
battery
product.
pack.
I would argue that every product that Apple's ever made is a niche product by standard
Yeah,
of.
actually. There you
If
go.
you
That's
think
what I look
about it,
at it.
because they started off as
Especially if you zoom
they
out to
started
the
off
rest of
as
the
like
world,
they
right?
started
Android
off
people.
as the company that wanted to bring the personal computer home for a
They did
somewhat
that, and then
decent
they're like,
price
okay,
point,
forget everyone
but
else
it was
now.
still for the people that had like
Right.
$30,000, you know.
But mind you, that they still want
spend.
everyone everywhere to buy everything that they sell.
Of course.
Yeah, because it's
And that
that
makes sense.
ecosystem to where
Sure.
it's like,
Well, they're a business, so
like, you know, yeah, and it's like, you know, like whatever can make them like a $4 trillion company by the end of the year, like,
Did you almost die?
you know,
Did you guys see that?
oh,
He almost died.
as soon as I said 4 trillion, he dropped. He
Yeah,
dropped.
he,
He
That's what it
dropped.
was.
He's like
The,
4 trillion.
that money
Whoa.
amount just blew me away, and I was
Oh,
like,
man.
whoa.
Really, for them to go to a 1 trillion to like 2.3 trillion didn't take that long.
No, it didn't. That's what's
yeah, they're
scary.
almost there, right? Aren't they?
I
Are they
think
at 3 yet?
I think
It's 2.5. Yeah.
well, the iPhone,
Wow.
yeah, the iPhone 10 was the one that made them go to the $1 trillion promised land.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Even though
See what
even
a
though
redesign
back
get
then,
you? Yeah.
Here,
I mean,
here's what I think is crazy. Steve Jobs, think about this. He was a millionaire by the time he was 21. The next year, 10 million. The next year, 100 million. And then and then it slowed down after that. Because otherwise, you'd be talking about like a septillion-dollar company or whatever. You know,
Right.
infinite money at
Yeah,
this
but,
point. But
Well, that's
but
it's crazy
but
to
the thing
me.
about it is but
Microphone's hot, I love
he got ousted. He got ousted by Apple. That's another
Right.
thing too.
Damn
Like-
stupid Pepsi's CEO that
Yeah, Scully.
messed everything
Well,
up.
John
and almost
Scully,
Alright.
John
destroyed-
Scully,
Yeah.
Did you guys
John
watch both
Scully,
of the?
John
Well, he
both
hired
biopics?
Scully, so yeah.
Did you guys see both Steve Jobs movie with Michael Fassbender and
Yeah.
the one with Ashton
Yeah, the
Kutcher?
Fassbender was
Ashton
part of
Kutcher.
it. Yeah.
I love them both, but yeah.
I mean, the thing about
I
it
felt
is
more
that like
gripped.
his version of the movie kind of deals with like him getting ousted from Apple, whereas the one that Ashton Kutcher did, it talked about the upcoming stuff. Like it really
A little
did.
bit, yeah.
Like that was that's what really like that's I kind of see it like they're kind of sequels in my eyes. Like one deals with one part of his life, the other one just deals with another part of his life.
Well, it's two
Like
perspectives.
in
Yeah,
that
that's
kind of
sort of
order.
that's
I
sort of
mean,
true because
I could go really weird here and tell you it's like 50 Shades of Grey versus Christian Grey. It's two
Wow.
sides of perspectives of the story
Yeah.
from two different parts. But there literally is like there was the 50 Shades of Grey, which was from like the woman's perspectives, and then there was his side of the story. It was the same
Right.
thing. It was the two different sides from two different perspectives of the same person, two different.
Yeah.
But there was overlap.
Sort of, yeah. So the Kutsher
Yeah.
one, the other one ended in '98 with the iMac, right?
Mhm.
You saw the relationship how he
I
gets
think
back
no.
with his
I
daughter.
think no. I think no. It was like what did he do? He introduced the iPod or something like
No, it
that.
was the iMac. It
Like
was the iMac. He speculated about the iPod with her. He just threw that. They threw that in like at the very end, right before he goes on
Yeah,
stage with
they
the
threw.
iMac.
Yeah, because
He said, "How would
he
you
had the
like
infamous
a million
turtle.
songs in your pocket? Get rid of that stupid Sony Walkman, right?" But that was
Yeah,
'98 when the iMac came out. But and 3 years later, the first iPod came out in October about 2001. But
and
yeah,
that was
Michael said
tearing
right.
up the streets.
What's
Yeah, but
crazy to think
the other
about
one,
is, 19 is the fact that in 1999, Apple had released the Airport, the first wireless
yeah,
Wi-Fi router, basically,
Router.
that existed.
Mm.
That they did that, and that's
yeah,
crazy. And that's
yeah.
something that's gone too. Then they got rid of. There's no Apple doesn't have their own Wi-Fi, which I'm surprised that they don't have their own proprietary like. Oh, and if you get our Wi-Fi router, it uses a standard, but you'll
hmm
get faster speeds with your iPhone because it links in
Yeah,
through
you know
like
what?
Yeah.
a dual
You know
protocol
what?
Because
where it
The
transfers
Google
over
one's
a
very
bunch of.
the Google one's
But the
very
thing about
popular.
it is, and the thing about it is, like something like HomeKit, which would be like an easy 1, 2, 3 for them. Would be an easy 1, 2, 3.
Well,
Yeah.
But the thing
that's
about it is that, like,
That's an interesting
I
thing
think what
too,
going,
that went away. That
what,
they announced that they were going to be working with companies to make HomeKit enabled routers, and like
Mm.
any of your HomeKit enabled like light bulbs and stuff, how it would connect. And if somebody hacked your network, like they hacked into your light bulb, they couldn't get access to the rest of your network. And then we never saw like any like Netgear or like any of the other companies. We never saw these companies
Yeah.
actually do anything with
what
it. They
is
just
it? I
kind
think,
of
what is it?
away.
I think it was like Arrow and then Linksys Velop. Linksys was like the first, I think the first ones to get like the HomeKit, like, because that's a
Linksys
router
is
I
crap
have too.
too. Linksys is awful. When they got bought out, because
Mhm.
wasn't Linksys and Belkin merged or whatever,
Yeah, I
and
think
they
that's
I
just
right.
think no, because they're all bought,
absolutely
they're
they
owned
went
by
all
Foxconn.
plastic. They got all went plastic, crappy
Yeah,
stuff, and
but
Yeah.
the thing about it is that like the thing about it is that like that's all Foxconn. That's all Foxconn. Like
Mhm.
all of that is like Foxconn money because like
Foxconn is a
that's why
manufacturing, so they
no,
all
that's
buy their
their parent
stuff, but
company. That's their
Foxconn
parent company.
isn't a parent company like that though. They're a manufacturer, but Net like it's like Netgear bought out a couple other companies too, and that's why you saw them
Hmm.
expand to like the more
Yeah.
No, they
alien like
no, but
models. And then
hmm
I believe the Asus routers are actually licensed off from Netgear technology. The new ones now are actually licensing some of their
hmm
stuff.
but and
No,
also
but
the thing is too is that but like I looked it up. For whatever reason I looked it up and I found that and I was like, holy crap, that makes a lot of sense. Like, because it's like, yeah, because it's like, because I think what it even says it like at the bottom of their thing. It's like, like even if I wiki them right now, it says Foxconn as as a subsidiary they're a part of. Like,
no, they're not. I think technically they're not a subsidiary. They are a contractor, and Apple pays them to manufacture the iPhones and iPads, right? But
yep,
yeah,
yep,
maybe they will buy them and make them subsidiary. It might even be cheaper in the long run to do that. That's not a horribly bad
yeah,
idea.
no, because
We
it's like
used to have a
it's one of
Linksys
those
router, and they kind of went downhill.
no, it's
Good.
like it's the thing about it is that like links like it's owned by Belkin, which Belkin
hmm
is like the parent company of Foxconn. So it's kind of like one of those where it's like
Oh,
one
are they?
company owns another company that owns another company. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So it's Yeah, because like I'm looking at it like right now, like on their wiki page, it's like Belkin,
Okay.
parent company, Foxconn. It says Foxconn right here, like as I look at it, like live and breathe
Belkin
to it.
is out of Playa Vista in California. They're an American company. They're
But
California.
they're underneath their
yeah,
Cali-
they're in
founders were
California.
California, so like
Taiwanese.
California streaming. Hey,
Yeah, but
Um,
the thing about it is, like, when you go to their parent company, it
Foxconn
says
bought
Foxconn.
Belkin, Linksys, and Wemo in
where
2008.
who owns
Mhm.
Foxconn or where are they based?
The Chinese company.
Chinese company
China.
that owns Belkin.
But
Uh-oh.
No, he just said it doesn't.
Yep.
Oh, does not.
But Foxconn provides. I mean, okay, so Foxconn sort of can be a parent company, but they buy this stuff so they can license it to like Apple and Google and all these companies.
Yeah.
They don't actually really do anything for themselves. They kind of bought these companies, absolved it so that they could have the licensing rights. And I think
Yeah.
that probably happened so
And that's why they get.
so
That's
that,
why they get first dibs of
I
everything.
guarantee what happened was Apple
Right, it's the-
went to the investors at Foxconn and went and
A lot of
said,
back
"You need to,
scratching.
we need you guys to buy these companies because we can't
Yeah.
because it would be considered like a
Sure.
monopoly or anti-compete issues."
Right.
And then
Oh, the loophole.
and Apple does this all the time. Actually, they have subsidiary companies that people don't realize that are actually like under Apple. But
Right.
they invest
Beats,
in other
Beats.
companies, and no, I'm not
Right.
talking about that.
Well,
I'm
that
talking
was-
about the less legal side of it that
I
they
don't know what you're
managed
talking
to
about,
stay away
Michael,
from.
and I won't
You
stand
mean
until
like
you slander
You
one
mean
of the best companies
Shazam?
ever.
You mean Shazam? You
No,
mean like Shazam?
those
or
are
something
companies
like
they
that?
bought out. I'm talking about like they like
Do you have any proof?
executives and stuff that invest in other.
You're gonna go on timeout.
No.
Watch.
So
Keep going.
yeah.
But
Well, stuff
It
like
happens.
that happens all the time. Yeah, I mean,
But
you
yeah,
have
but-
conflicts where you have people
Again,
on the
no idea.
people on
What
the
The
board of
offshore
directors.
stuff.
Oh
is,
wait, that's
you
right.
know,
You're the Wall Street guy. Of course, you know about shady dealings. What am I talking about?
Nah.
The
No,
yeah,
but-
he's the it guy. He's the
Shady
it guy.
He's the shark
Well-
on Wall Street, so so when the wolf dives in the ocean, he can still get him.
Oh,
That's
man.
why he's named Sharkfin. That's why
Mortgage-backed
he's
securities
Sharkfin.
ring a
Yeah.
bell? Anyone?
That's why he's Sharkfin. He'll
Mhm.
he'll find the sharks for you.
Sharkfin. Wow.
But
Yeah,
but
but no, here,
but
but here,
gents, I appreciate your time, and
Should we
you know,
call it? Is this a good spot? I think I saw
Yeah, I think
Trent
this is
Tech
good.
on Twitter Space. Maybe we can ambush him. What do you guys
yeah,
think?
y'all can bum rush him.
Okay, yeah. Well, I appreciate all of you guys for coming. Everyone that was in the
Thanks.
chat tonight.
Oh man, that's crazy.
The lurkers, and also the replay crew. Wow, if you made it this far. Wow.
Yep.
I was thinking. I think I.
And
I
I
even discussed
apologize to everybody who's had to hear me speak for the last like 5 hours.
Right.
Yeah, I discussed this with you guys. I'm like, maybe half hour. Can we squeeze out maybe half hour, 1 hour?
right.
We're almost at 2 3/4. All right.
Wow.
Well, you know what? Hey,
Yeah.
a lot of streams tomorrow. We went a little longer, so we can say less than 12 hours away from the event itself,
Wow.
and then less than maybe I think like 10 hours for the first couple handful of live streams that are going to be happening. Very excited. Again, this wasn't planned. Thank you again to all you guys, and you know, we'll see you in the Twitters and in the YouTubes, and that's it. Let me press the button, and remember
Have a good one, all.
I gotta press it twice.
Have
So
a
here
good
we go.
one.